Of course, before we go live, I'm gonna need a minute to get all my devices going, so bear with me here as usual. We're talking about whether or not it is safe to continue coming to America. And of course, as always, I got some important clips I want you to hear that I'm starting to believe really backs up the notion that you might want to avoid travel to and from America under the Trump administration. But we're going to talk about it. So give me a minute to get all my devices up and running here. Uh, well, I'm getting my last one up here. Okay, almost here. But yeah, traveling to America is starting to become we're talking about, and we're going to be talking about legal. We're not talking about people breaking in the country and sneaking in and illegal immigrants. We're going to be talking about folks that are coming here legally, whether on travel visas, we're talking about people with green cards that live here. We're going to be talking about whether or not it is whether or not America is a country that is safe to travel to and from. So let me see if I can get my last stream going, and we should be able to start the program momentarily here. I think we're up. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Good to be back on with you folks. Just not the best news or not the best item I'm going to be discussing here, but we'll get into the notion that America may no longer be safe to travel to and fro internationally. And why? We're talking about under the Trump administration. This is not something that's due to crime. Well, perhaps, because Trump is saying it's due to crime, but we're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, I want to ask you this because this is something I got into a spat over on social media, talking to some of my other MAGA friends. I got folks I talk to that lean right, and I'm in one of their debate forums, and we're talking about the fact that Tesla's stock is dropping dramatically. Tesla has dropped 40% in the span of only 2 months for obvious reasons. Elon Musk and his ties to the Trump administration. Why am I even bringing this up? Well, because the right wanting to take the heat off Elon, take the heat off of Tesla, the cars are burning up all over the damn country and shit. The right is suggesting that Elon Musk has nothing to do with all of the firings of federal employees. So I want to start out by running that by you folks. The right is saying that Elon Musk is not responsible for all of these federal firings all over the country. I'll see if I can give you a snippet of it, because you see what I got on my monitor in front of me. Well, I had on there, you had Elon with the chainsaw. But the suggestion that Elon has nothing to do with the firings, do you agree? Do you believe that Elon is not the head of Doge, is not responsible for the termination of any federal employees? Here's a quick clip. This is from a News Scoop. I don't know News Scoop. I don't know the reliability of this news outfit, but we're not here to do anything but listen to a quick clip.
I bet you didn't know Elon Musk's chainsaw is causing a buzz in government jobs. Musk, head of the Department of Government Efficiency, says he's not to blame for firing thousands of federal workers. He insists the decision lies with individual agencies. But Republicans paint a murkier picture. Some say Musk only uncovers inefficiencies, while others claim he pressures agencies to make cuts. Trump's even said, if agencies don't cut enough, Elon will do the cutting. Trump advocates a scalpel approach, advising precise cuts, whereas Musk's public image is more chainsaw. Legal challenges are mounting against Musk's actions, and Republicans are feeling the heat from constituents. Musk's denials clash with his previous boasts about recommending to delete entire agencies. His chainsaw stunt at CPAC and appearances with Trump suggest a more active role. House Democrats are pushing back, demanding reinstatement of unlawfully terminated workers. They challenge the White House to legislate if they want to abolish agencies. The debate rages on, is Musk just the messenger, or is he wielding the chainsaw himself?
And that's what I want to run by you folks. Elon in the Trump administration is claiming that Elon Musk has nothing to do with the firings. So I want to ask you that. Now, see that, Gen X, I see your comment. I like that shirt. Yeah, you need it in yellow and black. You obviously watched what I talked about. That's an inside joke between me and Gen X there. But what do you guys think? You think Elon is taking a rap for something he has nothing to do with, as the Trump administration is now trying to allude to? They're suggesting that that Elon Musk is not responsible for the federal firings that are going on all over the country. Now, you saw earlier I had the picture up. I think my computer's a little on the fritz here, but there's the picture. The picture there with Elon Musk with the chainsaw. Now, if you notice, because some folks are saying, well, the chainsaw didn't have any symbolism to it. Somebody just gave it to him as a gift. I tell you, the spin is making me dizzy. I'll tell you what I'm looking at here. We're looking at a picture of Elon. I cannot see what his t-shirt says under it, because he wears shirts that sometimes have messages on them. And there's a lot of writing on that t-shirt that he's wearing under this coat. It looks like it says something about I'm not procrastinating, or I'm done procrastinating, but I'll have to go online and see if I can find it anywhere else. The chainsaw has Viva la Libertad, and I mean, it's in a different language, like, long live liberty or something like that is written on the side of the chainsaw that he's welding. But here's the kicker. Obviously, he's wearing a Make America Great Again hat, different format, but it definitely says Make America Great Again. But behind him, the signs CPAC, Doge Update, and Elon are on this. Behind him, right across, you see his head there. Behind him, that sign says Doge Update. And then a little bit over to the right, it says Elon. So this guy at the CPAC update, or the Doge update for CPAC, is now saying he has nothing to do with the firings. Now, Doge is clearly, the Department of Government Efficiency is clearly responsible for the firings. It was believed that Elon Musk was the head of Doge. Now, the Trump administration is trying to back off of that and say he has nothing to do with it. Then why the hell is he at a Doge update with a chainsaw? So, listen, folks, at the end of the day, Elon Musk, most of his wealth is tied into Tesla. So if Tesla takes a 40% hit in their stocks, there's no denying that's costing Elon Musk billions of dollars. I think I read once where Tesla had lost like $700 and some odd million in value about 2 weeks ago. So you can assume that's really translating to Elon Musk's wealth directly. I mean, obviously he has Starlink, X, and some of these other companies, but most of his wealth is in Tesla. So if that company is reduced by 40%, his wealth is going to be reduced significantly. And of course, he has Trump as a close friend and personal ally. So you see Trump trying to sell Teslas and things like that out in front of the White House, telling people to buy a Tesla. I believe I've seen some legal analysts suggest that Trump in the Oval Office using the phrase buy a Tesla is some sort of violation, essentially saying he committed a crime. Now, Trump is not going to get punished for this. That's not going to happen. But I do believe they're saying that Trump committed a crime by telling folks to buy Teslas while in the Oval Office. He's literally promoting this guy's business. But I want to run this by you folks. How many of you think that Elon has nothing to do with the federal firings? That's what we're going to be talking about, because that's what they're claiming. And of course, it is indeed, because Elon is starting to become toxic to the MAGA administration. Most of these hot, heavy town hall protests, a lot of that shit is because of what Elon is doing. When the veterans show up and suggest that they're losing benefits, it's Elon's. That's who they're blaming for this. They're blaming Elon. Now, obviously, Elon is a major player in the Trump administration, but they're blaming Elon. So Elon is becoming a hot potato in the Trump administration. So to save Elon without kicking him out, they're trying to suggest that he has nothing to do with what people are complaining about. So I do want to run that by you. Now, we're going to talk about that, but that's obviously not the only topic. You see the live stream is titled, Avoid Travel to America. That is what's being issued. I want to ask you folks, do you think we care if innocent folks are being sent down to El Salvador? If you know somebody was innocent that was sent to the El Salvadoran prison down there, where you know they were not a gang member. Now, I'm not saying that we've gotten to that point yet in the conversation, but let's say you found out that a person was sent to that prison down there, a maximum security prison, and you were able to confirm they were not a gangbanger. Do you believe the Trump administration should be held accountable in any way, shape, or form? Because remember, they're not getting due process. Some of these folks, you can almost be certain, were screaming and kicking, I'm not who you think I am, when they were being handcuffed and put on the plane. Yet their screams were heard by no one. Their screams were literally heard by no one. So I'm asking you folks, do we as a nation even care about this? And if it turns out we did jail innocent people, should we be required to make amends?
Last week, El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele was officially reelected in a landslide win. Bukele first came into power in 2019, and for nearly 2 years, he's overseen a vast and brutal crackdown on gangs, transforming the nation from one of the deadliest in the world to one of the safest in Latin America. But that peace has come at a cost. Thousands of innocent people jailed, and critics say an undermined democracy. I traveled with producer Teresa Cebrian Aranda to 2 cities north of the capital of San Salvador to file this report.
Now, this is a PBS story. I'm not going to go through the whole story. This is actually a few years old. This is before Trump got reelected. In fact, this piece, I'm trying to see if it's actually only a year ago. So this is during the Biden administration, before Trump got elected. And you hear here where she's giving the leader of El Salvador credit for cleaning up their community, but she's also pointing out thousands of people are locked up that are innocent. So before Trump started sending people to El Salvador, they already had a reputation for locking up innocent people. Now, I could play the rest of the clip, but I'm not, because it's about eight or 9 minutes long. But they cover families that have went in this prison and came out and were innocent. There's plenty of stories that this video features. And here's one young man there, and it goes on through their families and what happens to them. So we're not going to talk about that, but I just want to point that out, that regardless of what we're doing here in America, there's already a reputation before Trump got elected that they were locking up innocent people in the name of lowering crime. Now, and I want to ask, like I said, do we care about that? And if it turns out we locked somebody up who didn't deserve to get locked up, what should be done? What should be done? Should the Trump administration be held accountable? Should they even make effort to get that person out? Should they make any effort to at least give that person freedom? So we'll talk about that. But I want you to hear something that I think is noteworthy, because we're talking about the potential of these immigrants being locked up and ones who may have not committed a crime. This is Trump's border czar. You've seen him all over television. Tom Homan being interviewed by Jonathan Karl. This was earlier today on This Week with George Stephanopoulos.
Determine, or how do your people in the field determine that somebody is a gang member?
Look, there's various methods. I've noticed in the media this week, a lot of them don't have criminal histories. Well, a lot of gang members don't have criminal histories. Just like a lot of terrorists in this world, they're not in any terrorist database, right? We only know the information within databases based on, for instance, most terrorists we arrest that are identified by the U.S. government are later identified through a Title III investigation or through an undercover operation. They're not in any terrorist screening database. We know that. A lot of gang members, I started as a cop in 1984. Many gang members don't have a criminal history. So we have a count of social media. We have a count of surveillance techniques. We have a count on sworn statements from other gang members. You got to count on, wiretaps and Title III. So everything involved with the criminal investigation come into play. So just because someone hasn't been arrested and charged with a crime yet, doesn't mean they're a member of a gang.
Listen to this.
How do you, what we've heard from lawyers representing some of these people is that they deny that they're members of this gang, or either, Tren de Aragua or MS-13. Do they get a chance to prove that before you take them out of the country and put them into a notorious prison in a country that they're not even from? I mean, do they have any due process at all?
Confident. Look, due process. Where was Lake and Riley's due process? Where were all these young women that were killed and raped by members of TDA? Where was their due process?
Well, the people that did that should be prosecuted.
Alive on the subway. Where's her due process?
Now you heard him ask. I'll stop it here. But you heard him ask, do these people get any kind of due process? And Tom Homan responded with, "What about Lincoln Riley's due process? What about these people that are being unalived by these gang members? What about their due process? What about the person that was killed in the subway?" So in other words, the answer is no. In other words, the gang members, when they take someone's life, they're not giving anybody due process. So everybody we send down to this hellhole in El Salvador, they don't deserve due process either, which leads to the obvious point. That means if you're sending somebody down there that's innocent, you're treating them like the equivalent of somebody who took Lincoln Riley's life. If somebody's 100% innocent, why are you using Lincoln Riley's treatment on that person? Well, he doesn't entertain the notion that anybody being sent down there is innocent. We talked about this a few days ago when we had a live, and that was one of the first things, at least I said with some of my guests, is that I don't care if you're sending folks to prison like down here in El Salvador, or you're just simply building a wood kit in shop class in high school. Anytime you do something fast, you're going to make mistakes. Anytime you do something quick, without any checks and balances, without looking over your work, you're going to make mistakes. And when you're sending people on aircraft, literally days after you've captured them with no due process, the chance of somebody getting sent that didn't deserve to be sent is going to be very high. It's going to be very high. So we're going to talk about that, obviously. And I'm asking the question, do we even give a damn if we send innocent people? And last but not least, because you see the live stream is indeed titled, avoid traveling to the United States. And we're not, now, obviously I just played clips by Tom Homan, but keep in mind, when I say avoid traveling to the United States, we're not just talking about Tom Homan. We're not just talking about illegal immigrants, undocumented, or whatever you want to call it.
A number of countries have updated their travel advice to the United States in the wake of a crackdown on immigration by the Trump administration. Travelers have reported being detained at the U.S. border even though they had valid travel visas. Germany updated its travel advisory for the U.S. this week after a number of its citizens were detained at customs and then deported.
What was intended as a short vacation turned into a nightmare. German tourist Lukas Silav was detained upon arrival in the US and hauled into a detention facility.
They put me in chains everywhere, around my stomach, on my hands, my feet. Then they put me in a van and drove me to the detention center in Satinko.
Lucas was returning to the US from a vacation in Mexico. He says he had a valid US tourist visa, but ended up spending 16 days in detention before being allowed to return to Germany. And his arrest is part of an apparent trend involving temporary visa holders and visitors being detained by US border officials on their way into the country. Canadian actress Jasmine Mooney has a similar story. She was detained for 12 days over an incomplete visa.
There was no heads up. Next thing you know, I'm taken and for 2 weeks haven't been told anything, moved in different cells, sleeping on cement, sleeping in different jail cells. Like it just, nothing makes sense to me.
A French scientist, in turn, was denied entry into the US after his phone was searched by customs. Officials at the airport found messages criticizing the Trump administration's cuts to science programs. All deportees say they did not violate U.S. immigration policies nor commit any crimes.
Okay, now before we continue on, and there's Trump's spokesperson walking out. Damn, she's kind of shapely there. That's can't think of her name again, but she's the one that's the spokesperson for Trump. Got a 59-year-old husband and she's 27. The countries that have issued travel advisors to the United States: Germany, France, Canada, and the UK. Sounds like a NATO member coalition there, but all four of those states have issued travel advisors to the United States. Their people are getting picked up even when they're doing nothing wrong. You heard the last guy got detained simply because, or last female got detained simply because she had criticisms of President Trump's policies on her phone. So they went through her phone. This sounds like North Korea, does it not? Does it not sound like some shit they would do in North Korea where they go through your social media and if you said anything bad about Kim Jong-un, they're suddenly not wanting you to come into the country? That's why she got denied, is because her phone had criticisms of Trump on it. Free speech out the window, eh? So we're going to talk about this. But before I start taking calls, and this has been a long monologue because there's a hell of a lot going on. This one here is really interesting. There is a library. This is a quick video, but there is a library that was created as a symbol of peace about 100 years ago, if I'm correct. It is actually on the border. The U.S.-Canadian border goes through this actual building. So Canadians and Americans go in this library all the time. It's a real functioning library. And there is an actual borderline on the ground inside the library, but you can go in from both sides. It was built as a symbol of friendship. I want you to hear the story of this. It's up there. I don't know what part of Canada. I think it's in the center somewhere, but it is literally splitting both countries.
For over 100 years, it's been a symbol of friendship between Canada and the U.S. This line marking the border in the Haskell Free Library now represents a bigger split between the two countries.
I'm shaking all over and I can't believe it's happening.
I'm upset. I've been coming to this library for almost 70 years.
The site is about 150 kilometers southeast of Montreal. On one side is Derby Line, Vermont. On the other, Stansted, Quebec. And in the middle sits the library. To get in the front entrance, Canadians need to walk into the U.S. Starting Monday, that will be restricted to only those with library cards, and as of October, not at all. The move is drawing outrage from both sides of the border.
Canada has been a staunch ally of the United States for many years. They do not deserve to be treated this way. They do not deserve the tariffs. They do not deserve to be dismissed.
We're family. Yeah, there's disputes once in a while, but at the end of the day, we're still family, and we'll still come together and be one community.
The library was built in 1904, and it's listed as a heritage site in both Canada and the U.S. Its official address is in the United States, but the majority of the building is in Canada. And in the time I've taken to tell you that, I've actually been in both countries. Now the library will have to spend $100,000 to allow Canadians to get in through a back entrance. But there's no question it will stay open.
It's very emotional. I never thought, there's a lot of things these days that we never thought we would see. That's one of them.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection told CTV News this area has witnessed a continued rise in illicit cross-border activity. In keeping with the CBP's goal of 100% border security, the following phased approach will be enacted to ensure that all persons entering the United States are admissible.
Now, I'm going to start taking calls. I think I got more, but I guess this is just, travel advisor to the United States. You heard several people talk about how they've been picked up and things like that. I want to ask a simple question. Whatever happened to rapists and murderers? Have you heard about any of those actually getting picked up? It seems like the majority of the folks that are getting caught up in this new wave of protecting the border are anything but rapists and murderers. It seems like we've went way beyond that. We've canceled all of the asylum seekers. Many of them were Venezuelans and Cubans that supported Trump. Their families did, the ones that are here legally. But it seemed like we went way beyond rapists and murders. But I want to hear from you folks. So looking in the comments to start the program off, I do want to make sure I didn't, and by the way, I did miss a super chat there. Will Starts the program off right by saying Trump ain't shit. Will continues by saying Elon Musk smells like shit. And he says that anything Trump touches turns to shit. Now, a lot of folks believe that the country's doing better under Trump. I want to talk about it from a standpoint of under Biden, we were the laughing stock of the world, and under Trump, we are more respected by everyone. Is that your view? Ask you folks that are tuned in. Is that the view you're seeing as well? That under Trump, we're being more respected than we were under President Biden? And if so, I would love to have your opinion on which countries you believe are doing that. What happened to being judged by 12 and carried by 6? Guess that doesn't happen anymore, says Will G. Well, judged by 12 as opposed to being carried by 6 is usually meaning I'll shoot it out as opposed to taking a chance with a jury. It does. It does happen. Let the people get pissed off enough. I want to run something by you real quick, and I'll go to my first caller. When folks are throwing around this whole dictatorship label, they were suggesting that Trump and this whole Project 2025 thing was indicating he wanted to be a dictator or whatever the hell they were saying. I was pointing out on many of the live streams that, who knows where Trump is headed with this, but one of the tenets of most dictatorships is a dictatorship. Usually they close the border. I mean, we're not talking about illegal immigration. PPF ranch. Yeah, appreciate the hat mustache. Thank you. We're not talking about to illegal immigrants. When I say close the border, I mean in terms of dictatorships, it's usually very difficult to get in or out of a country. That is one of the core. And now with this person, hopefully this isn't something that's widespread. When somebody's talking about they went through their phone, found negative criticism, and that was enough to detain someone, that's certainly a core tenet of a dictatorship. So we can talk about that throughout the life as well, but people getting their phone. Why are they going through the person's phone if there's no actual crime? Going straight to the box will bring up Jeremy. Good evening, Jeremy. Welcome to the program. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is this an alt account? Because it doesn't look like I'm sub to you, even though I never canceled the subscription.
Yeah, this is the back. This is my alt account. This is right. We have two, but sometimes when they play with one, we go to the other one. So
okay,
yeah. So what's going on here? What does it appear as if we're deliberately trying to isolate our allies?
I think we're just trying to not get screwed over by as much of them as we used to in the past. As for the people who are having their phones gone through, I'm going to tell you a little story about somebody who had this exact thing happen to them before Trump got back in office. Her name is Lauren Southern. I think I mentioned it on this program before. So she's a journalist, and she has never had a single criminal record in her life, and she has never done anything wrong in her life. She's never had anything behind her whatsoever. And whenever she came to the States, the only way that she was allowed to come in is if the feds were able to go through her phone on a regular basis. So I don't see this as being a Trump thing. I think we've always, ever since the Patriot Act, all politicians have used this in the wrong way to get their way, and
So you saying it existed before Trump, but you said the wrong. So you do think that what they're doing was wrong?
Yeah, I'm willing to hold Trump accountable for this. I think he shouldn't, just because Jimmy, Al, and Timmy all decide to throw rocks at a car doesn't mean that Sally should join them.
It's interesting you would say that, because that's the same argument I give anytime somebody says that, well, Hillary Clinton started the birther movement as some kind of excuse for Trump doing
I just don't want people to just say, oh, this is unique to Trump. It's not. It's not at all. Not even close.
Well, he could perhaps do something to stop it, though, right?
Right. I think that would be a good thing. I think so, too. That's why I also would like him to go through due process.
You mentioned that.
Congress through a lot of things. See, a lot of what he's doing, I like. I just don't like how he's doing it.
Explain.
So, Doge, 100%, I agree with 100%. And you know what? I actually have a little theory. I have a little theory that he's letting Doge do its thing because he knows that Congress is full of a bunch of rhinos and staunch Democrats.
You think, wait. Congress that ain't saying shit is full of rhinos? If Congress was full of Democrats and rhinos, hold on. If Congress was filled with Democrats and rhinos, they would be challenging them all over the place. Congress is pretty much sitting back saying nothing on the Republican side.
Because they know he's too powerful. They know that he's such a powerful president when it comes to how popular he is. Like his second term, like, come on, he won more seats than any other Republican ever had in beforehand. Sorry, not seats, but votes. Than anyone when Republican has won for the longest period of time.
I don't think that's true. You realize that rhinos don't care about how popular he is, neither do Democrats. And yet the rhinos,
they want to play nice. They definitely want to play nice because they know that if they don't, Trump will get on TV and say, primary that guy.
Right, and that goes along with the comment that Travelman has in the comments. He said they're not saying anything because they're scared of his base. It ain't got nothing to do with them being rhinos. They're frightened of their,
They are rhinos, and the rhinos are afraid of going after Trump because they know they don't have, it's not within their power to go after him.
What is your definition of a rhino?
Republican in name only.
And you think that Trump is a genuine, true Republican?
No, I think he's a Democrat that became more conservative with time.
So he's a rhino.
He's definitely a Republican.
So he's a rhino.
I think he's definitely a Republican. I just don't think he's a full conservative. I think he's slightly left to center.
What's the difference between a rhino and somebody who's not a traditional Republican, slightly left of center, which is what you're giving Trump?
So there are Republicans and Democrats. You know that, right?
Republicans and Democrats. I've never heard of this.
Conservative Democrats and liberal Republicans. You know.
Yeah, I do know about that. You go back during the slave era and all that. That was existing. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So I think. So I would say he's a Republican.
So he is a liberal or a progressive. Republicans were progressives when they were in favor of abolishing slavery. They were called progressives back then. They were Republicans.
Yeah. He's more of a classical liberal. He used to be farther left. I think he's become much more conservative over the years, but he's still definitely on the left side rather than the right. But here's what I'm trying to say.
You really think that with his border policies?
Yeah, you know that Democrats and liberals used to go down to the border and beat the shit out of people who were crossing illegally.
You think that's
a real thing? Like there's a California, I think senator, the senator or governor, I don't remember which one, who would actually get posses of men and women, and they would go there with chains and
those were Democrat conservatives. Yeah, that's what when the Democrats were the party of slavery, they were called Democrat conservatives. They were conservatives. The Republican Party abolishing slavery, that's a progressive idea. Conservatives are all about traditionalism, keep the country the way the founding fathers intended. Yeah. That's what conservatives are.
Look at even Hillary Clinton and President Obama. They were exactly the same way. They were very much against closed borders to anybody who was coming illegally. We can see tons of clips of them, Biden the exact same way, until they suddenly weren't.
Yeah, but Trump is going much further now that you got many of our allies, their citizens are getting detained as well. That wasn't happening under Obama.
Yeah, but that's because first off, there was tons of deportations underneath Obama.
They were the people who deserved to be deported. And by the way, what Trump is doing is preventing everybody from getting here. Obama wasn't really fucking around with the northern border.
Here's the thing. So, also, by the way, how long is your ban for?
Oh, I'd have to check. Probably a week.
Oh, dang, because then I'm not going to get priority. Oh, well, okay. Look, it's all right. So, look, at the end of the day, Trump is seeing something very, very real. We have a problem with bad people coming through our country. And the problem is, have you heard of the Pareto principle?
The what?
The Pareto principle.
No.
Okay. So when it's sometimes also known as the 80-20 rule. So the higher level there is of something, the fewer of that thing there is. I know that's a very general thing that's hard to kind of understand, but the richer you are, the fewer people that are like you that are rich. The higher IQ you have, the fewer people that are like you that are as high IQ like you. The same thing can be said with criminals. The worse crimes you commit, the fewer people there are like you.
Okay.
Now, so people will correctly say that our open borders policy only lets a certain amount of criminals that are really serious criminals in every year. What they don't talk about is the fact that there are only so many serious, hardcore criminals in the world. Period.
Well, I mean, let me just interrupt you and say this. The problem with this whole rapist and murderer thing is what you and I started talking about in the beginning of the conversation. Because nobody is getting due process, we don't know if any of these people are rapists and murderers at all, because they started out with rapists and murderers. Then they dropped down that you're a gang-affiliated person. Then they dropped down to saying you have a tattoo. Now they said, well, he was in the country illegally. I mean, they've really lowered the standard to what they started out by painting out the worst people in society. Now they're just simply saying, hey, he was in the country illegally, so that's good to send him to prison.
Well, we definitely need to get rid of anybody who's here illegally, no matter how long they've been here.
El Salvador?
But yeah, no. I totally get what you mean. Again, this is why I'm okay with what Trump does, just not how he does it. I'm okay with sending people to El Salvador.
For what crime?
As long as it is for the correct crime. I agree with you there. And as long as...
What is the correct crime?
So the correct crime would be, if you're part of MS-13, I'm more than okay sending you there, because to get into MS-13, you have to kill a family member.
But then I got to push back and say this to you. Without due process, and I know you don't like the no due process. You and I agree on that. But without due process, we're solely relying upon the Trump administration to tell the truth as to how they found out a person was in MS-13. Well, he had a tattoo, or we saw him hanging around. They could actually be easily saying people are in these violent gangs that are not. And because folks like you say, well, if you're in a gang, you should go to El Salvador. Well, if they don't have to prove to you the person is in the gang, they're just telling you. And that's good enough for people.
And they could also be telling what they think is the truth, but be getting it wrong. So I understand that.
Yeah.
Again, I just want things to be done correctly. And as long as they're done correctly, that's my thing. So I think that Trump is making the country much better, but he's doing it in a way that is going to have a lot of negative consequences in the future. And if he doesn't buy the book, I would be much happier. And here's the thing. Not everyone who's getting deported to El Salvador will be going to CCOTS. I already told
you. And I disagree on that. You and I disagree on that, because I actually watched that documentary. In fact, I've been watching that person, Nick or whatever his name. I got a lot of good videos. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of his stuff. The problem with that is they're showing people in this low security prison where they're learning all of these traits and things like that. You think that Trump, I mean, because we're paying for the El Salvadorian president to take our folks that we're sitting down. You think Trump is going to pay to have a migrant go to some minimum security prison and learn trades and shit? We don't even want to pay for Americans to learn trades in the prisons here. So I know any of the people that are in those light prisons, they ain't got nothing to do with what we sending down there.
I think that he would. And here's why. People who are actually reformable, who don't have a lifelong sentence, are worth investing in. And actually, remember the First Step Act.
The guy who is not even giving people due process is going to be paying attention to people that are reformable? He's not even giving you due process.
Who was the one who put in the First Step Act in his first term?
Was that Clinton? Or I mean, that's been fairly recent.
Yeah, that was Trump.
Okay, well, but this is a guy that is not giving immigrants due process, and yet you're trying to tell me that he's going to see some immigrants as quote unquote reformable. I don't think he's even trying to even remotely. He wants them gone. He don't care if they're reformable. He don't care if they're murderers. He don't care if they're innocent. He just wants them gone.
I think once they're gone, I do think that it is one of those situations where once they're gone, he's not going to pay a whole lot of attention to them. But that's because I think he already knows that Bukele knows what he's doing. And I like Bukele. I think Bukele did what was necessary. I think Bukele, he understood that his country was falling apart due to gangs, and he needed to make sure that it was done correctly.
Did you see the video? Did you see the NPR video I played that was about a year ago? What's going on down there? Literally thousands of them folks that are in that prison are innocent. And that was during the Biden administration. They did an expose on that prison down there in El Salvador. And they said even then, thousands of people in there going in and out of there are innocent. That dude is focused on making this country safe without any due process. He's just locking people up.
We don't disagree about due process. Like I said, let's look at this way. So, due process. Suddenly, Supreme Court, suddenly SCOTUS says, okay, Trump, listen, you can't just send people over to El Salvador without due process. You got to bring them back.
It's crazy it's crazy you would have to even tell a president.
Just roll with me on this one. Just roll with me on this one for a sec. So, he says that, and he's like, fine, and brings them back, and then also they go to due process. Suddenly, some of them get released because they're just here on a visa, and they haven't committed a single crime. And the other ones go to CCOT, or they go to La Esperanza. Okay. What would be the issue?
Well, first of all, if you're going to CCOT, you should be a rapist or a murderer. Just simply running across the Rio Grande should not have you going to a maximum security prison in a country you're not from. That to me, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. I mean, why not just murder the guy?
Well, I'm saying, let's say they go through. Let's say they're ordered back by SCOTUS, and Trump brings them back. And they go through the due process, and some people are given, and the people who are given to El Salvador, they're given different types of labels. One of them is just illegally in the country and is originally from El Salvador, because I'd like it to just be El Salvadorians that illegally came in there that would go there.
What do you do about the people? What do you do for the people you wrongfully had incarcerated in this maximum security prison? What do you do for them after you've done them?
You pause their visas. So that way you give them back the time that they would have had had they been in the country for the time that they were away, and you give them about $10,000 each.
Okay. I don't know if I think MAGA would throw you in the garbage can saying that out loud.
hey, I am MAGA, but I am MAGA because I chose to be, because I looked at the evidence myself. And if MAGA gets so extreme that they lose all the principles they once stood for, I'll happily go back and leave MAGA.
You're right.
I'm like that.
I think we're already there, Jeremy. Appreciate you coming through.
Thank you so much, brother.
Anytime. All right, moving on with the program. And me and my last caller, we disagreed on a lot. But one of the things we do agree on is I believe in a due process. I'm going to go back to the box. But you heard what Trump's borders are. Tom Homan said when he was asked, should the people get due process? He doesn't seem to think that the people getting locked up should get due process.
Prison in a country that they're not even from. I mean, do they have any due process at all?
Look, due process. Where was Lake and Ronnie's due process? Where were all these young women that were killed and raped by members of TDA? Where was their due process?
Well, the people that did that should be prosecuted.
That on the subway, where's her due process?
Well,
the bottom line is that plane was full of people designated.
He couldn't even say yes, they deserve due process. He just brought up people that's been murdered by illegal immigrants, as if you are innocent and you're being denied due process, and somebody's saying, well, some gang member killed somebody and they didn't get due. What does it got to do with you? I mean, that has nothing to do with you at all. Real quick in the comments, here's due process. Get out, says Papa Onaya Shelley. Damn. So your due process is just get out. Well, the problem with saying here's due process, just get out, is that, I mean, what if they come to you as an American citizen and they say you're here illegally and you're telling them, no, I grew up in America. I can tell you what, high school, fuck you, get out. Well, should I not get my day in court? Remember, that's what happens if you don't get due process. No matter how much you're kicking and screaming and saying you're innocent of something, there's no court going to be given to you to listen to. whoever your arresting officer is, his word goes. That is how no due process works. Maxwell Smart says we want all illegals gone, and El Salvador sends a clear message. Fuck around and find out. Trump isn't playing games. He's telling to self-deport now. You know, he is saying self-deport. And to me, that message is laughable. The part about you had Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, suggesting that if you self-deport, there'll be a chance you can come back in the future. You know, if we catch you, we're going to deport you. You can never come back. But if you self-deport, then there's a chance in the future you can come back and pursue the American dream. I don't think any immigrant with an ounce of a brain should take that seriously for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think the Trump administration has been caught in lies in regards to immigrants constantly, everything from the Haitian migrants on down. So everything he says or that comes out of that administration that's aimed at immigrants is not always true. But also take note of what he did when he became president. He completely changed how America views immigrants. Now, MAGA loves it. I get it. He's securing the border. That's fine. And I'm for securing the border too. But the point I'm making is one president can vastly change the system from his predecessor. So when Kristi Noem is telling folks, well, if you don't leave and we catch you, we're going to deport you and you can never come back. There's no guarantee that if Trump is not replaced with a liberal, they may not upend that policy. So why turn yourself in? Stay under the radar. Hopefully you can survive 4 years, or if let's say you get caught and deported 2 years from now. You get kicked out, and then you can hope that maybe a liberal comes in and looks at Trump's policies as too draconian and flips all that shit around the way Trump looked at Biden's policies as too lenient. So what Kristi Noem is saying, that if you self-deport, you won't ever be to come back, or if you do, you can't come. That's only as valid as the Trump administration. Because all of that stuff's being done by executive order. All of that can be flipped over by the next administration. Real quick, before I go to the next caller, they have knee pads for Trump. Damn, Will. Going back to the box, gangsta. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Can also be guilty of association. Yeah, and I don't like that one because a lot of folks got criminal elements in their neighborhood. Hell, I don't have any criminal record, and I knew a lot of felons and shit growing up. Do I get charged and treated like a felon because I know some of them? That's how the guilty by association with MS-13 and gang members could relate. You're hanging around them, so you must be one of them. That is, a lot of folks have gotten in trouble for that. Standing on the corner with gang members so the cops show up and treat you all like gang members. I'm not a fan of it. I'll try my next call. I tried to bring up Gangsta G. Travelman, good evening. Welcome to the program. Now, do you see... Now, the notion is that under Trump, we're more respected worldwide and we were a laughingstock under Biden. Travelman, good evening. What say you?
Look here, bro. I'm flabbergasted.
For what reason? What reason?
What the hell is happening to our country? Okay, we're not. They're freaking laughing at us. They're laughing at us. To the rest of the world, basically, they don't respect us. They may be scared of the U.S. because we're acting like a bully.
I was going to say that when you said they're laughing at us. I'm thinking to myself, no, I think a lot of them are frightened of us.
Yeah, we have an erratic leader. We have an erratic president. All right? And just this last dude that you was talking to, it's like, what are these people looking at? You listen to this dude Holman. All right, they're using a lot of this stuff is anecdotal. Okay, but what about Lake and Rowley? They're gonna wear this young lady. They are going to wear her name out.
Yeah. Well, it's political capital for them.
If I was her family, I would tell them, shut the fuck up.
I think they did. I think that they have asked the Trump administration to stop using their loved one as a political ploy. I think that actually did happen.
And you take a look at what's going on in the country. I mean, I can guarantee you there are some people on that plane that are not gang members.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that.
But how about this though, Troubleman? Now in the comments, Boo Boo Boss. Wow, his name. He says borders should have already been secure, and we wouldn't have had this problem at all. Thanks, Biden. Do you see? Okay, so remember, Trump had a term before Biden, and Trump followed up a president that was known for securing the border. Talking about Barack Obama. Do you think if Biden hadn't have done what he did, that Trump would not be acting like this?
Trump was trying to act like this before that.
That's what I'm thinking. The Muslim ban,
Remember the caravans?
Yeah, he was already doing it. Yeah.
And people tend to forget that in 2019, border crossings actually increased under Trump. Okay, and people tend to forget also that during his first presidency, legal immigration went down, but illegal immigration increased. People tend to forget that.
Well, he didn't have his guy. This guy worked for Obama, if I'm correct, Tom Homan. I'm surprised Trump didn't get
but
this.
He did it legally.
Oh,
they would do it legally. That's the difference. Yeah. See, now he's in Gestapo mode. You know, they're in that what's that regulation they just came up with, the Foreign Enemies Act or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
the aliens of 1700 or some shit like that.
Yeah. Where they can actually, if the president designates somebody or whatever, they can actually go in your house without a warrant. You know,
jeez, like the Patriot, almost like Bush's Patriot Act.
It's worse than the Patriot Act. You know, but we do not have, number one, we do not have open borders. We have a controlled border. Somebody say the border is secure. If the border is secure, what does that mean? Nobody's coming in.
Yeah. Well, it could mean nobody's coming in or out without approval, though.
Then that's bullshit.
Because I think what you're describing is the border. What you're describing is the border is locked or the border is closed.
They saying secure.
Right.
Secure mean that it is closed. We still have illegal people coming across the border.
Very few, though.
I like I said before, I was a network engineer with CBP for 15 years. Okay? Mm-hmm. I just talked to CBP people the other day. You still have people illegal. It may not be as many, but they're still coming.
But let me ask you this: compared to Biden, you would agree that Trump, if we just simply judge Trump on securing the border, he is a success, right? Compared to Biden.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think border crossings started decreasing. I think around May or June. Yeah, Biden blew it on the border. Okay, right. He blew it on the border. Everybody know that. Everybody know that. But for what we're doing now, they're just snatching people up. They're stopping people because you have a criticism of their cutting science on your phone.
Yeah, the idea that they're going in phones. And by the way, Stick the Ruler, I see that Black Lives Matter, free speech. I like that down there. Yeah, the idea that they're going in your phone. And now my last caller suggested that was happening under other presidents. I have not heard that. I used to live overseas, and I've been back and forth into this country numerous times. I've never had somebody ask me for my phone and how to unlock it. I've never had that happen.
Yeah, that has been going on for a while.
Wow.
That has been going on for a while. But something, ever since 9/11, but something because, well, you don't agree with a policy or something, they're not going to keep you out of the country because of that.
Okay, so they did go through your phone, but they weren't banning people for criticism of the president.
No. And they could, it's legal. And it's not something that they do all the time. You know, it is, they can go through you. Just like if you're at the border, they can do it. If you're at the coming in or at the airport, any POE, they can do it.
So they're they're going to take your phone and go on your Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff?
Well, yeah, they can.
Damn. So you probably should take, when you get off the plane, delete that app on your phone so that they don't have, because they got to have your password and shit to log into it. So if you delete the app on your phone, it looks like you don't have that.
Yeah, but see, if you take a look, what we're seeing on the border is actually a reflection of what's going on in the country. Like this dude you was just talking to. Well, I agree with his policies. I agree with what he's doing. I just don't agree with how he's doing it. That the thing you saw on Canada.
Yeah.
Right. So all across the northern border, you got. It used to be you had some places on the northern border where all they had was a camera and they could see if somebody was coming across. But you also you can do your customs stuff on the Canadian side of the border. All right. They call it pre-clearance. Right.
Can you still do that now under the Trump administration?
Yeah, that's it. That every major we did every major airport in Canada.
Okay.
From Vancouver to Montreal, we set up pre-clearance centers. And that's so you can do your stuff over there. Same thing like down in Aruba, places like that. You can do your custom stuff down there. Can he stop that? Yes, he can. But then now you just blew, and I don't think he cared, but then you just blew millions of dollars. Okay?
No, I don't think he cares either.
But like I said, what we're seeing, it's like take a look at what's going on in the country. We have become we're an angry country.
Yeah.
And the rest of we're going into a period of isolationism. Now you got countries putting us on a travel list.
Yeah.
And then you got I think if I'm not mistaken, Trump just came out with a list of 40-some countries. Or he's coming out with a list of countries that they're gonna add to the travel list.
I'm watching a lot of Canadian TV because they have news channels, obviously, just like we do here. And I watch a lot of their stuff. Man, their comment section is full of people like, I cancel trips. I used to love going to Disney World. Yeah. The Canadians, for the most part, are now looking at the United States as a void at all costs. And then it doesn't help that some of them that have came down here have been detained and held for hours for little to no reason at all. So they're
for weeks.
Yeah. I played a clip. One lady, her visa was incomplete or something. They held her for 16 fucking days for that. Like, what the hell?
What is going on? This is coming from the top, right? And I believe in leadership. The organization will be a reflection of the leader. Right now, we got a freaking idiot up there that don't really give a damn about anybody except himself, who's been who's a puppet to the puppeteer, who is Elon Musk. Okay, so that's what's going on. Now the rest of the world, think about this. The rest of the freaking world, our allies, we have turned on our allies. Okay, they're looking at Canada and other NATO countries. They're looking at whether or not they're gonna go through with the fighter jet contract.
Yeah, well, certainly now that there are rumors that there's some kind of off switch in the F-35.
Now you're going into the private sector because you're talking about contracts that are worth billions of dollars. We're not the only country that produce fighter jets. True. NATO countries produce fighter jets too. But and
that's what Canada is doing now, because they were going to buy them for us. They are looking at other NATO member nations for that.
Yeah, they buy ours because all the other NATO countries, you got a platform that everybody's familiar with. But the Swiss, they make fighter jets. Actually, they make some damn good fighter jets. The UK, that the Harrier jet came from the UK.
Right, the jump jet.
So you got so now we're starting to they're gonna start losing those contracts.
Let me ask you now, as bleak of a picture as you're painting, now Trump's only due to have 4 years. I heard Steve Bannon suggested he's going to get a third term, but let's just say he gets one more term and he's out of there in 2028. All of the stuff you're talking about, is it permanent? Can we undo? Okay, we may have some bad relationships because of what Trump is doing with Canada and some of our NATO member states. Is this something that we will wear like a tattoo, or is it something we can, essentially heal once they realize Trump is no longer at the helm?
We're going to wear it because we put this dude in there twice. Look at what he's done. He's been in office 2 months. Look at the damage that has been done, not just to the allies. Look at the freaking damage that's been done to the country, right? How are you going? I just saw a thing today. Maybe you saw it. They're cutting $1 billion from the freaking school lunch program, and
But let me, and I'm not a fan of what you're talking about, but let me ask you this, because you said he's done so much damage in 2 months. I got viewers that believe his face should be on the side of Mount Rushmore. I asked to give a letter grade, they get a man an A+. What damage, for the audience at home, when you say Trump has done damage to this country, I need you to elaborate. What are you saying he's damaged?
Okay, well, number one, the tariffs. He putting tariffs on all the countries. So basically, we're in a trade war with the world.
Right.
Okay? And the reciprocal tariff, that's fine and dandy. But the other stuff that he's doing, that's even further, right? Now he's talking about giving up the command leadership of NATO.
Yeah.
Which we've always had a 4-star in front of that, right?
Yeah.
Now let's bring it to the states, right? How are you going to before Trump came into office, go back to Biden. If you call any government agency, they would tell you that they're undermanned, they're understaffed. Yeah. That was before Trump came into office. Now answer this question. How are you going to cut, what did they say they're doing Social Security? 40,000, 70,000? How are you going to cut that many people in this short period of time? Did the work go away? Okay. Do we have 50,000 people sitting over there not doing anything?
That is what they're telling us, is that the people that are working there are working at home. They're not answering Elon Musk's email. They're not doing shit. So you had to get rid of them because they were all lazy, just collecting a paycheck.
But think about this. This is a complicated country. Is the country running by itself? No. This is a complicated country. We have 3 million people. The federal government employees is the same as it was in 1980.
With less population.
And we have 340 million people. So you have 3 million people providing services to 340 million people. You're going to cut 70,000 from the VA. Is that going? Are we cutting? Is the workload going away? No. And what they do is, and what they have been doing, is that they demonize everybody, and then they go in, and then they start doing the damage. That's what they do. That's what MAGA does. The question we should be asking is, why does MAGA hate the federal government?
Because they think that the federal government is waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's a drain on our economy.
Okay, it's fraud. Okay, where are the charges at? Have you seen anything?
No, I have not. That's a great point, that fraud is a crime, and if there was so much fraud, there should be some charges being leveled at somebody, and they're not.
Okay,
so.
Yeah. Do we have waste? If they were serious about waste, they would have started at DOD.
Yeah, and they just gave him the F-47. They're spending more money.
Look. This is how fucked. Excuse me, man.
No, you good.
I am so freaking. This is so fucked up. We got an F-22. This motherfucker is such a narcissist. They gotta name a fucking new plane after him.
He says that ain't what it's about. The Air Force has officially been around 47 years, so that's what it's about.
That's bullshit. We have a liar in the White House. He's a prolific liar. We have his sidekick, who's a conspiracy theorist with 200 million followers. Okay, we got a vice president who's also Musk is from South Africa. More power to him. J.D. Vance is controlled by Peter Thiel. He spent time in South Africa. Okay, and then the crypto guy, he's also from South Africa.
So what are you getting at? We're starting to become.
I am not getting at anything. I'm just stating the facts.
All right.
Okay, if it weren't for Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance wouldn't be in the Senate. Okay, and then Peter Thiel went and talked to Don Jr., and that's how he ended up as vice president. Okay, but take a look at what's going on.
Now you gave me something I need to research. I got to move on, Travelman, but I'm quite interested in Peter Thiel's role. You're the first that's ever laid it out for me like that. I have not heard that.
Peter Thiel brought him to Silicon Valley.
No, but all of the connections to this one man and to South Africa, I just have never heard it laid out like that.
Yeah, Peter Thiel is not from South Africa, but he spent time. I think when he was a teenager, he went to school in South Africa.
All right.
Right. And then the crypto guy, I forget his name. I don't have my. Let me see. The crypto guy. I think he's from South Africa.
Well, I will say this, not necessarily country based on the countries, but it is a case of follow the money. I do think that there's a ton of money floating around. And that happens with liberal organizations
Musk is
too.
Sitting there. Musk is sitting there because he paid $200. He bought the presidency. He spent $200 million on the presidency, and that's why he's sitting up there right now. If it wasn't for the $200 million, then he wouldn't be sitting there. But having said that, Trump doesn't give a damn about the people in Appalachia. He don't give a damn about that. You know, the people that's getting hurt.
I think MAGA in Appalachia, I think they're going to disagree with you. But Trevor, and I do got to move it on.
You know what?
Real quick.
MAGA.
Huh?
The fucking traitors. Fuck MAGA.
All right. Appreciate it. His words are that. He said, fuck MAGA. I look at it in the comments. Laugh my ass off. Kamala Harris spent over $1 billion yet isn't in the White House. What the fuck is this dude talking about? Well, listen, you can spend money to try to get elected. I think Bloomberg spent a fortune trying to get the New York mayoral position some years ago. I don't deny that Kamala Harris went through a heap of money trying to become president. And it failed. The voters still rejected her. The voters didn't have a choice with Elon Musk. Elon Musk did not buy the presidency. He helped Trump become president. I guess it's kind of saying the same thing, really, when you think of it that way. But I will say this. If Elon Musk had not donated hundreds of millions of dollars to Trump's campaign, he wouldn't be part of Trump's campaign. And there probably would not be Doge. Doge is probably something that Elon or his associates came up with. That organization would likely not exist. That's not to say that Trump would not still be going after waste, fraud, and abuse by some other method, but Elon Musk purchased his way into the White House is what I'm saying. If he had just been a kind, generous donor to the Trump campaign and gave $2 or $3 million to Trump like a lot of other donors, he wouldn't be where he's at. He's where he's at because he donated an insane amount of money. He bought his way in. I mean, I don't think that's up for debate. And by the way, he's been threatening to use his money to buy into congressional races and Senate races. If you don't follow the agenda, I'll pay somebody to primary you. So he is throwing his money around. And speaking of Elon, I wanted to, because we were talking about, we're going to get back to the border bullshit, but I do want you guys, I'll play this quick clip again, because Elon apparently started to become toxic to the Trump administration. Outside of MAGA looks at Elon as the biggest success since the will, but outside of MAGA, a lot of folks, independents, liberals alike, are starting to complain because Elon is firing so many people. Here's what Elon is now claiming, because he's claiming that the firings are not his responsibility.
I bet you didn't know Elon Musk's chainsaw is causing a buzz in government jobs. Musk, head of the Department of Government Efficiency, says he's not to blame for firing thousands of federal workers. He insists the decision lies with individual agencies. But Republicans paint a murkier picture. Some say Musk only uncovers inefficiencies, while others claim he pressures agencies to make cuts. Trump's even said, if agencies don't cut enough, Elon will do the cutting. Trump advocates a scalpel approach, advising precise cuts, whereas Musk's public image is more chainsaw. Legal challenges are mounting against Musk's actions, and Republicans are feeling the heat from constituents.
The constituents are killing those town hall meetings. Now, Elon is trying to say he's not doing it because it's hurting his Tesla stock and it's hurting the Republicans at these town hall meetings. And it's hurting the fact that Elon is on Trump's team. Elon is like a lightning rod. So he's trying to divert the attention from himself to some other phantom member of the Trump administration, or suggest that other organizations are doing the firing. But it's kind of late because they've already taken credit and given Elon a ton of credit for firing people. As you heard the speaker in this video point out, that Trump even stated if they don't get rid of enough people, Elon will broaden it. I mean, they've been giving Elon credit the whole time for firing people. But now that it doesn't seem to be working, they're trying to tell the people that Elon Musk is not doing it. It might be too late for that. Real quick, looking in the comments, let me make sure I didn't miss the super chat there. By Maxwell Smart says a model immigrant is one that can self-sustain. A bad immigrant comes broke with no resources. We want well-off in college graduations, non-trade workers. Well, wait a minute, Maxwell, you missed it. First of all, based on your statement that a model immigrant can self-sustain and a bad immigrant comes broke with no resources, so you would eliminate the asylum seekers completely, because that's generally how they come here. They're broke and they need help. So any of those folks that are trying to flee wars and things like that, you would, I mean, the Jewish after World War II during the Holocaust, Hitler took everything. They couldn't leave Germany with anything. You would turn them away. You would call them bad immigrants. They can't self-sustain. So I think you should I think the way you're viewing it is very harsh, but I am 100% certain that among my beloved MAGA, there's a lot of people that agree with you, but that's very, very harsh. Illegals should be double taxed and receive no tax returns. Damn. Failure to file gets hit with a $10,000 fine, paid within a year, or get deported. Maxwell Smart, you are awful. No, you just said illegal immigrants should be able to self-sustain. But now you're saying they should be double taxed to receive no, I mean, you're going to hit them hard financially. You think that might interfere with them being able to self-sustain, with you doing all of that shit to them financially? Illegal immigrants should have to pay for their own. You just don't like illegal immigrants, Maxwell. I'm thinking that's what I'm starting to think. Based on what I'm reading, I'm starting to think that you do not favor illegal immigrants. But continuing on, he says that illegal immigrants should have to pay for their own health care like they do in their own country. If they don't pay, get fined and still get deported. Jesus. You know, the crazy thing is, your recommendations are kind of like what's happening, where immigrants are coming to America and literally leaving here worse than they came. Particularly those ones that are being sent to prison in Venezuela. They're actually doing worse than they were before they came to the United States. You want an illegal immigrant. What did he say in that last one? They should have to pay their own health care. First of all, even Americans Americans tend to make more money than most, certainly any country south of the border. You know, the average American, what is it, 50, 60, 70,000 a year is what the average American makes. That's well above anything they're making south of the border. And most Americans that make that 50, 60, 70,000 a year could not afford to pay their own health care. You go to a job, they give you health care insurance, and the out-of-pocket cost of deductibles and all of that stuff is more than most Americans can afford at our salary. But yet you want an immigrant coming over here that's going to be picking fruit to pay their own health. That ain't going to happen. I'm surprised. I mean, they couldn't even pay the insurance premium. That's not going to happen. You really coming at them hard with that. Real quick before we move on, I don't think I missed any other super chats. I'll go to the next caller. Will you take the mark? Will you take the chip? Wait a minute. Will you take the mark? Will you take the chip? You will not be able to buy or sell without it. I don't know what you're talking about there, sir, but look at the plan is to choke off government program funding, privatize and sell it to the highest bidder. The Trump administration is big on privatization, and I do believe that, everything from penal institutions on down. Some people even say that they may privatize Social Security and some of that stuff. To me, anytime you put profits, when you privatize something, the whole purpose is profit. You're putting it in the private sector, so whoever controls it now is doing it for a profit. I don't believe that civil service programs should be done on a for-profit basis. School lunch programs, for instance, or public schools or penal institutions. We have in America, our prisons, a lot of them are privatized. You shouldn't profit off of incarceration. You just shouldn't. Like the guy down in El Salvador, now that we sending him millions of dollars, he is literally profiting off of incarceration. That gives you a huge incentive to fill up your institution And due process can go by the wayside. Who gives a damn? I need bodies in cells. I don't really care if the right ones are in there. If there's not enough people committing crimes, damn it, make up some new crimes. I need bodies in cells. I'm getting all sorts of kickbacks and funding based on how filled my institutions are. MAGA is just spitting. MAGA is just spitting of their ancestors. MAGA ain't shit. What do you mean by spitting? You said MAGA is just spitting of their image. Are you sitting there spitting image? Going back to the box, we'll go to the one and only Gangsta Grandma. Good evening. Welcome to the program. If we stop our government from stealing all our money like Doge wants, we don't need to privatize anything. The problem with Doge is the information they've been given is not correct. MAGA reacts. Good evening.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much.
What are we talking about today?
Elon is claiming that he has nothing to do with the federal firings. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, his job is to just point out the inefficiencies, and they make it sound like he's running the country, and he's just cutting costs. He's just saying, this is what we pay for this is what we pay for that. And,
wait. So you saying he's not responsible for it? Why is he holding a chainsaw on camera at the Doge update?
Because he's cutting costs. He's working.
How is he cutting costs? How is he cutting costs?
What do you mean? He's going through our checking account and seeing what we're spending money on.
Right.
And he's pointing out all the ways that we're wasting money. It's like that app that tells you all your subscriptions so you can cancel them.
Yeah, so he's cutting costs by firing people as part of that, right?
Listen, an accountant can tell you how you're wasting money, but you still have to stop wasting money yourself. And just because the accountant,
you said he is cut. You just said he is cutting costs, though. He's
pointing it out,
right? And they're
showing us where we're overspending and where we're wasting money, and it's on the government to cut the cost, whether it's by closing things or by firing people.
Okay, so he's pointing it out, and they're obviously acting on what he's pointing out, right?
Yeah.
So he's fighting. So in other words, right. So in other words, if you're working at one of the federal offices, and he points out that he believes your office is a waste, and you get fired, you're going to tell me you wouldn't blame him at all?
I mean, maybe, but in the end, it's my boss that fired me. Usually, you don't even know the people who actually found out.
Yeah, but you know your boss. You know your boss was not going to fire you before what he said.
I guess, but again, if your job is a waste, why do I blame the accountant for pointing out the waste? He's just the guy that discovered it. He's not the guy that created these jobs that are a waste of time and money or are now obsolete. And he's not responsible for hiring or firing anyone.
So who is the head of Doge?
I mean, he's the accountant. He discovered the shit. I don't know if he's officially the head of Doge or not.
Who is the head of Doge?
In the end, the president's the head of the entire executive section of the government.
So what was this whole thing about Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk being the head of Doge? Was that just made up?
I mean, I don't know what happened with that. Vivek was supposed to be part of it, but he left before it even started.
Yeah, but Elon is still there. And he's wearing Doge t-shirts in the Oval Office.
Yeah, he's doing the work. But somebody else is doing the firing. Again, it's like any other accountant that points out like where you're wasting money. Any other bookkeeper, any other, manager or anything. They come in, they look through your books, they'll be like, hey, you're wasting money on this is obsolete, this guy's not doing his job. And it's still on me to fire the people and cancel the subscription and upgrade my technology to better technology. I mean, this is basic shit. Like, this is not like out of the world shit. If you owned a business, you've had consultants come in and tell you how to optimize the business.
So if he's not responsible for the firings, why would you receive an email with his name on it saying you got to tell 5 things you've done or consider it a resignation? It's coming from him. His name is on it. Why is he threatening to fire
Because he's
you?
responsible for finding out what people do and see if it's useful or not.
And
That's because of lack of data on what people do. That's like when people don't have a job description listed officially. He was trying to find out what people's job descriptions are.
Right, and if you don't tell him, he's going to fire you according to his own email.
I mean, that was kind of an empty threat, was what we found out. But, it says if you don't answer this, you might as well resign.
So what is Elon? What is Elon's job? What is Elon's job officially?
Basically, he's a bookkeeper.
Have you ever been threatened? Have you ever had a bookkeeper threaten to fire you?
I mean, if a bookkeeper comes in and I'm not doing my job, he's going to tell the boss on me. I'm not expecting him to lie on my behalf.
So what is Elon? Is he a snitch now?
No, he's doing his job.
What
his
is
job
it?
is to look
What
through the
is
books.
his job? What is his job?
To look through the books and find out where we're wasting money.
And when he finds out, wait, he's not firing anybody according to you. So he looks through the books, he finds out where we're wasting money. What does he do with that information when he finds out where we are wasting money?
He organizes it in a way that's easy for the people in charge, the people who do the firing, to digest it and act upon it.
So that's a snitch, MAGA reacts. He's snitching, is what you're telling me.
If you want to call it a snitch, call it a snitch. I mean, that's his job, to look for ways we're wasting money. I mean, if it doesn't even have to do with a person, what if it's just a fucking something we're spending money on, like old computers or that fucking, where did you find that old mine where we're storing boxes underground in a coal mine or whatever?
So
that's a waste of money to be having that much stuff on paper and to spend that much storing it underground in a coal mine.
So you do understand though why people think that he is the one that's doing the firing, right?
I mean, he's the one looking into it.
No, he's the one sending out letters. He actually sent people an email, sent everybody in the federal government an email telling them if they didn't respond.
If you want to say that, you can say that, but it makes no difference. I mean, the job had to be done. Like, there's jobs where someone has to be the bad guy no matter what because it's good for the company.
Then just admit you're the damn bad guy. Quit lying about it. If somebody has to be the bad guy, admit your role. Quit lying about it.
But he's also a good guy because he's saving the company or the country from bankruptcy.
That's fine.
The way we're going, we're eventually going to hit bankruptcy.
That if that is the goal, then just admit you're saving the country from bankruptcy. Don't come up and try to pretend like you ain't firing people. Why lie about that this late in the game?
He does say that.
What?
He does say he's saving the country from bankruptcy.
But he's saying that he is not firing people, and everybody knows he's doing that.
Because he doesn't do the actual firing. He points out the mistake. It's still on the people in charge to fix the mistake.
You know what you sound like? You sound like the mob
It's
boss.
like spell check. You know when spell check highlights shit that you misspelled red?
Right.
You still have to click on it and fix the spelling yourself.
Margaret,
it doesn't always automatically
you sound like the mob boss that points at somebody and says he needs to go away. And when that person gets killed, the mob boss says, well, I didn't do it. I'm just making recommendations. Everybody knows the person is dead because of you.
No, you're right. You were right earlier. He's the snitch. He's not the mob guy that decided the guy needs to die. He's the guy that snitched on him saying he didn't do his job. So I'll give you that. You were right. He is the snitch.
So that
is a good analogy.
Well, then a snitch is that's good enough. If I lose my job and a snitch is responsible for it, he's just as bad as the person that fired me, because I wouldn't be fired without the work of the snitch.
Firing, he's just snitching.
That's just as bad though, because he's part of the process.
Only because the culture made it a bad thing.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
If nobody snitched, then people will just keep getting away with crimes and that sounds like something the snitch was saying that you just said. Well, if you're 2 minutes late and everybody's 2 minutes late, the company's now losing an hour per day. You sound like a snitch explaining this shit. What about if you committed murder and I'm the guy, I was like, hey, he committed murder, we should fire him. I don't even know where to go with that. Ain't nobody getting fired for committing murder.
Wait, here's the email. Hold on.
There's levels to these things.
Yeah.
To these things. And again, we don't have, like, if we had unlimited resources, none of this would matter, but we don't. And I'd rather these public jobs are lost instead of private jobs.
It would be a lot
Biden,
easier, MAGA.
It would be layoffs.
It would be a lot easier if he just admitted, I'm cutting waste, and if I gotta fire people to cut waste, I gotta fire people. Don't say you're cutting waste, but then try to shy away from how you're actually doing it. Here's the actual email.
I guess it's all semantics, man.
It's people's fucking. It ain't semantics.
What is the argument really about?
It's people's fucking jobs, their whole livelihood. Semantics.
But how you describe who does the firing and who does just the investigation and accounting? I mean, in any company that lays off people, you don't blame the accountants that went through the books. You know, it's the boss that in the end decided that to follow the advice.
Nobody is buying that.
He didn't have final say.
Yeah.
He didn't have final say to hire or fire anyone.
Let me read this to you. Here's the actual email that Elon. I'm sure you've heard it. Are you playing with handcuffs? Or you got some kind of bondage going on over there?
No, it's a ratchet.
Okay, hold it down because it's loud. Hold it down. That's loud. It's like you playing with some fucking handcuffs. I don't want you to be doing no Jeffrey Dahmer shit. Okay, here's the actual email. This is and it's coming from Elon Musk's stationery, by the way, on his site X. It says, consistent with President Trump, at real Donald Trump's instructions. So he's saying he was instructed by Donald Trump. All federal employees will receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. So he's basically doing this on behalf of Trump. Ain't nobody else involved in this. This is him doing it on behalf of Trump, according to his email.
That's him doing the bookkeeping, trying to find out.
This says bookkeepers don't fire people.
Again, he's snitching so Trump or whoever in charge could fire them.
I don't see any of what you're talking about in this email.
You know, the snitches don't usually kill the people either. It's the mob boss.
I don't see anything what you're talking about in this email. Not all of this other person, this phantom person, none of that's in this email. He's making it clear that consistent with President Trump's instructions, and then it ends with failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. He makes it sound like he is doing this at the instruction of Trump. You're trying to pin somebody else out in space that is not in this.
Okay.
And by the way,
don't get the whole point of this argument.
The point of the argument is simple. Yeah, the point of the argument, you said you don't get the point of the argument. The point of the argument is that when Elon Musk said he's not responsible for firing federal employees, he's lying. That's the point of the argument.
I mean, he's a cause, but he's not the one that fired them. Again, it's like the snitch. Is the snitch responsible for the guy getting murdered, or is it the mob boss that ordered it? You could get him guilty. You could get the snitch guilty for accessory to murder, but
let's go with your definition. He's not the one doing the firing. You said, but he's the cause of it. He's the snitch. Is that alone? Is that enough to be pissed off with him? He's the cause and he's the snitch. Is that enough to be pissed off?
Yes.
All right, then we're at the same location. I gotta move it on. That's good enough. I'll take that as a victory. If you're gonna admit he's a snitch and he's the cause of you getting fired, then the anger people have at him is justified because he's the cause of them getting fired and he snitched on them.
One more quick thing. All these people coming in are usually paying like $20,000 to coyotes and other people to get here. I think they should just pay the money to us and we let them in. And we should let in people based on what we need. If we need electricians, let in electricians. If we need whatever, let in.
What about the asylum? What about people coming to seek asylum?
That's a whole different thing.
What about them though?
Look, I've had my father, I've seen him, like, even 10 years ago, write a bunch of, like, fake asylum. He literally took...
What about the people that are seeking asylum? You're not giving me an answer.
It for, like, 20 other people. So a lot of these asylum claims are bullshit, and they're very hard to verify.
So, in other words, no asylum seekers should be allowed in.
I mean, it's case by case, I guess. So as long as they wait in Mexico or wait in their country, let them in. but they have to wait outside until a judge reads their stuff and decides whether they deserve asylum or not.
All right. Appreciate you coming through. You drive a hard bargain. All right, moving on with the program. I want to respond to a couple super chats. Joe Shalom says the best thing about being right is that you never have to morph into something else. I love that. Bernie Sanders intro to Civics 101. That's a great point. The best thing about being right is you don't have to lie about it and try to change to some other shit. If what Elon Musk was doing was right, stand on it. You know they always say stand on business. If you're actually cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, and it requires terminating a few people, stand on business. Don't suddenly shy away from what you're doing now when veterans show up pissed off. Well, look, there's waste at the Veterans Administration. I had to do this. Show your receipts and stand on business. Elon Musk is backing down from what he's been doing. And you see, a lot of my callers are like, some of my MAGA viewers, my beloved MAGA, are just like MAGA Reacts was. My last caller, trying to give Elon Musk a way out when they've been constantly celebrating this guy as the man doing all the firing. Now that the firing is backfiring on the MAGA administration, on the Trump administration, so many people are getting pissed off. Even a lot of MAGA are getting pissed off because some of them are getting fired too. They're trying to save face on Elon. Because at the end of the day, if it does turn out that Elon is a monster and got rid of a lot of people that didn't need to be fired, there's no way for Trump to separate himself from this. There's no way, because not only are you the only reason this guy is here because he didn't get Senate approval, nobody voted him in. This is literally like me coming to visit you, and I'm like, this is my boy, can he come on in here too? And he come in and he robs all of the shit out of your house. There's no way I'm not going to get criticized from you for bringing him in because I vouch for him. The only reason Elon Musk is part of the administration is because Trump vouched for him. That's it. Wasn't voted in, wasn't approved by the Senate, none of that. Trump said, this is my man, he can handle this. So if Elon fucks up, that's it. That's going to be on Trump. There's no way he can separate himself from it. So it sounds like they're trying to get ahead of that because so many people are pissed by trying to indicate that Elon is not the one doing the firing. Then who is? Who is? Maxwell Smart says every illegal immigrant comes more skilled than high school students and are more attractive than high school students. Graduates don't stand a chance against illegal immigrants. Students to first. What? Every illegal immigrant comes more skilled than high school students. I don't understand what you're saying there. Are you saying that anybody that's let in this country should be more? You said every illegal immigrant that comes. Some illegal immigrants come in this country as a toddler. It comes literally they're underage. I don't quite get what you're saying there. But you follow up by says Tim is acting like Mexico cannot support asylum seekers. There are many countries between. That is true. Why do we have to accept all asylum seekers? Forget Mexico. Well, I partially agree with you. If you're coming from, Guatemala or the Honduras or something like that, and you are seeking asylum, you should have to explain, why didn't you stop in all of them countries in between? I don't disagree with that. Now, if those other countries won't accept a person, do we respond by saying, well, if they don't accept you, we're going to be just as harsh and cold and not accept you as well? So there is an argument to be made by that. But yeah, if you walk through 4 or 5 countries, listen, if you need to request asylum, you should be willing to go wherever you can. Let's say you're running from the cartel or something like that. You should be happy to go anywhere where you can live and be free of them. You shouldn't be trying to specifically get to one country. So there is some validity to that. But you said we don't have to accept all asylum seekers. No, we don't have to accept them all, but it sounds like Trump is going to put us in a position where we're accepting none of them. The average illegal is 26 years old. I'd like to know who did the averaging of that. All right, moving on. And it could be, I'm not saying that's not true. It could be. Moving on with the program, though. I did have Gangsta. Been trying to bring her up. I don't know why it's not letting me bring her up. Let's try it again. Good evening, Gangsta.
Yeah, you wasn't trying. You wasn't fucking trying. You want to say Fluffy.
Oh my!
You don't want my ass up here. Get the fuck out of here.
You being mean over. You hurt my feelings.
Well, I want to be real mean to your ass tonight. Because what the hell, you beloved maggot? What the fuck?
What happened?
How you don't call them beloved when they gonna send our asses and put us in concentration camps and stuff? And you want to call them beloved?
You believe MAGA wants to put us? Wait. MAGA?
They're racist. And they're going with everything that little punk ass twit of a fucking damn Trump we got in office. They believe everything he's doing. Segregation. They're taking everything away. They're destroying this country. And you're just, oh, my beloved MAGA. What the fuck?
Wait a minute. First of all, wait, hold on. Gangsta grandma. All MAGA are not racist. You got to correct that.
Excuse. You walk like a fucking duck. You talk like a fucking duck. You're a duck. If you voted for this sorry son of a bitch, and you are still standing with the son of a bitch, you are a racist.
All MAGA. Anybody that votes for Trump is a racist.
Yep. You walk like a duck. You talk like a duck. Because you're standing with his principles. You're standing with his morals. You're standing with what he's doing.
What about?
You're fucking racist.
What about, like I had Jeremy on earlier?
Oh my God!
Hang on. I'm defending. Hold on. Jeremy came on and he said, "I like Trump's policies, but I don't favor the lack of due process." Is it possible to not like some of Trump's policies?
No. You walk like a duck. You talk like a fucking duck. You're a duck. Because you're still standing with him. He's not calling his BS out. He's not saying, well, you know what? Fuck MAGA. You know, he's doing shit. No. What they're doing now, what he just did, the little twit in the office, the no-brainer, he just said all the ones that he just gave legal to come in. They're legal. Mm-hmm. He's shipping them back. Cubans, Venezuelans, Haitians. And you don't think he's not fucking racist?
Well, he might think there's too many people in the country.
Oh my gosh, get that thing, you fucking fluffing. Are you gagging now?
No, I'm not.
You're fucking fluffing.
Trump,
you know your gagging skills?
Trump made it clear that some of these immigrants coming in this country they didn't have the country's best interest at heart.
Oh my God, Tim, stop your shit, man.
Is this not what Trump ran on?
No, Trump ran on hate. Trump ran on hate. And half this motherfucking country is racist. They no good for nothing. They'd rather have the United States burned than have a fucking black woman that knew what the fuck she was talking about. They didn't want no black woman to run this country. Oh my God, we might have been at peace. But no, they just want the trash to come in and destroy the goddamn country. You know? And that's what racist does.
Well, Trump has only been president for 2 months, gang. So you think
he's destroying it. He's doing shit.
Give me an example of how Trump is destroying this country.
Are you fucking serious?
No, I'm asking. I need to know.
Serious? Are you fucking serious?
Securing the border is destroying the country?
Okay. I am so sick of you motherfuckers saying the border has been secured. They cannot close the border. For the love of God, they cannot close the goddamn border because it's against the Constitution. Joe Biden deported more illegal immigrants than that clown did.
Yeah, but Biden let more of them in, too.
No, he did. Oh, my fucking God.
You're trying to tell me, you're trying to tell me that, you're telling me that more immigrants...
At first, they didn't let them in, they crossed because of the pandemic and stuff, right when he first got... He tried to stop it with whatever that bill, 42, and they couldn't. They couldn't do it because of the pandemic. Because it was over with. You guys start blaming Biden for fucking everything, man. I'm so done with you motherfuckers. I bet you motherfuckers now want Joe Biden back to Sleepy Joe, right?
Well, some people do. Some people miss Biden, yes. But when it comes to border security, I think everybody believes that Biden has done a much better job Trump has done a much better job than Biden.
Trump hasn't done shit. He's just jacking off in Elon's mouth, man.
What? Oh my God. What the
fuck? That's his bitch.
Oh my God.
I'm so fucking done. I hate this country. I really do. I seriously hate the people that voted for this trash. I fucking do. Because you know what? We're going through fucking hell. Our vets are going to lose everything. Social Security is going to get cut the fuck off. He's only sending black and brown people out. But oh my God.
I don't know if that's true.
That is true. But you know what? Who could come in the goddamn country? You know who can? White South Africans.
Okay, well, when you say he's only sending black and brown people out, that's actually not true.
Cubans are brown.
No, he's
Mexicans are brown. Venezuelans are black. Haitians are black.
Well,
excuse me.
Let me play a quick clip for you. I want to get.
Oh my God!
Well, you the one that's making a statement that he's only.
He is.
Okay, give me a minute. Give me a second here. I want you to hear this because I want to get your opinion on it.
Have updated their travel advice to the United States in the wake of a crackdown on immigration by the Trump administration. Travelers have reported being detained at the U.S. border even though they had valid travel visas. Germany updated its travel advisory for the U.S. this week after a number of its citizens were detained at customs and then deported.
What was intended as a short vacation turned into a nightmare. German tourist Lukas Silaf was detained upon arrival in the US and hauled into a detention facility.
They put me in chains everywhere, around my stomach, on my hands, my feet. Then they put me in a van and drove me to the detention center in Santiago.
Lucas?
He's German, and I got more, but he's German. He's a white guy. What say you?
Okay. My God, he don't like nobody.
You said only.
He don't like nobody.
You said black and brown.
The majority of them are black and brown. Let's be for real. Majority is black and brown.
Well, but gangsta grandma, majority of people coming in this country are black and brown.
And I you know what? I don't know why the fuck they even want to come here. This is a disgusting country. I would burn the damn flag if I could. If I had a flag, I'll burn it. Because this ain't shit of a country. How we are being laughed at around the world. How people are turning their backs on us. How they don't even want to give us eggs because they can't stand this man. It's disgusting. And you call him fucking, my beloved MAGA.
What are you...
You know one thing a MAGA would do to you? They'll hang you from a fucking tree. They will. They're racist.
Oh, wait, I know MAGA. I actually know people who support Trump. Why would you suggest that MAGA would... Wow.
They will. Look what the fuck they're doing to us. Look what the fuck they're doing. They oh, God, go deport everybody. Deport everybody. Deport everybody.
But you think...
I don't want nobody to come here.
You think...
They want to make this motherfucker white, and it never was white. See, these motherfucking white people need to get their shit together. This never was fucking white. Mexicans was here before the white asses. The only thing that the white man did to us, gave the Native American syphilis and shit. Gave the our beloved black people syphilis. That's what they gave to us.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's obviously MAGA that are in close proximity to people of color all over this country. MAGA reacts, my last caller asked that question, who has MAGA hung so far? Because you're indicating they would want to hang somebody like me.
I said they will.
Then why haven't they done it?
Well, you know what? Technically, they probably would have. There should be people be missing. Hell, they had a little native girl cut the fuck up. We don't know who did it. Shit, hell, it could have been MAGA. MAGA been pew-pewing up the damn schools. They're little badass kids. And would.
So you think that MAGA actually has deadly intentions to people of color?
I wouldn't trust it. You know what? That's why I don't fuck with them. I don't fuck with maggots. I don't. Nope. I do not fuck with them. I keep them at damn. And I carry my pew-pew. I'll bet a motherfucker would one up on me. They'll be in a body bag. Fuck around and find out with me.
This is strong stuff. I'm just curious. What have you seen from anybody that supports Trump that would make you think that they may...
Because did you see the Klan? The Triple K is out in force down in Tennessee and all them. That they have balls to come up now. Charlotte, all of them. You know what I mean? He's showing his hatred. He is showing his hatred. And they're like going Bob in. You know what I mean? Elon. He's letting Elon fuck this whole damn thing up.
Well,
That's what's sucking on him.
Elon is claiming he's not responsible for firing anybody.
Elon, you know, You believe the white man? Come on now.
What the hell? What? Now you're making it sound like all white men don't tell the truth.
Mega don't. Say, oh my God, you so fluffy, and you're not even a liberal like that.
How about fluffy? I don't buy that all MAGA are trying to unalive folks.
Okay, let me tell you something. I stand with Biden. I stand with our vice president. I stand because you know what? I believe in what they believe in. Okay?
Okay.
You don't go vote for somebody if you don't believe in it.
MAGA.
It's the black maggots. I can't stand their asses. They want to be white so goddamn bad, they have it all over their fucking face and jack it off to them. And they're racist too.
You think
they'll sell their own to get through. They sold us out.
So you believe black MAGA are racist to people of color?
Hey, let me tell you something. They believe in this fucking white team, man. They believe that he's gonna come and say to give them money. Fuck yeah.
What would that be based on? He's never promised to give people of color money.
Oh my God, $5,000. I'm gonna give you $5,000 after they go and they rip off all the poor people. We're gonna give you $5,000. They still believe that shit. You see him on
Let me ask you that now, because the $5,000 thing, I've heard about that, and a lot of folks say, well, look, if you don't have any love for Trump and you think he's that bad of a president,
you know this little twit said, this white tea, like, oh, she believes Biden life. Bitch, you believe the white man that's gonna sell that's selling your soul, that is doing everything, that you're a piece of racist piece of shit. Get the fuck out of here.
But you keep saying you believe the white man as if white men can't be trusted.
I don't. You trust the white man?
I know.
Oh, please. I don't.
You don't know anybody that's white that's trustworthy.
I would not trust the white. If they say they maggots, like MAGA, I would not trust the hell fucking to them. I won't turn my back on them. You got me fucked up.
How do you?
You would trust a maggot?
I mean, everything MAGA says is not a lie, gangster. You make it.
Oh, for real? Why do they say it's not a lie?
You think every single thing that MAGA says is a lie?
They believe in the con man. They believe in the racist piece of shit. So yeah, they believe, but they still don't believe that they're going to take their Social Security away. They still don't believe that he's going to take their food stamps away. They still believe that they're going to get money. What the fuck?
Bro, he hasn't done any of that stuff yet.
Yeah, he is doing it now.
He hasn't.
What the fuck, man?
You saying right now he's taking away food stamps? Where is he doing that?
Oh my God! For the love of God! Oh my God!
He hasn't done it.
Hey, it's in the fucking budget bill. It's in the fucking budget bill, man.
Let me ask you something. Has Trump did anything?
Okay, let me tell you how slick these little motherfuckers are. They're telling it, they're cutting the what is that called? What is it called? They're cutting the people that run it. You know what I mean? Like the food stamps.
Yeah, they're
like
cutting the heads to the organizations. Yeah, I do know that.
Okay. That's who they're cutting them. So what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna have to cut. So they're gonna have to cut Social Security. They're gonna have to cut food stamps because that's what they do. So that's what the organization is. WIC, but the pro fucking life.
So you do believe he's lying there?
Duh.
I just said that. Let me ask you something, Gangster Grandma. Has Trump in European? I mean, he's been president 4 years now. He's been president another 2 months. Has he done anything good for America at all, in your opinion?
What about the dogs? That's the other thing he did. About the bill about the dogs.
Okay.
And then he's trying to do the first step. That was Obama, bitches. No, he did the first. No, bitch. That was a black man. It was Obama, bitch. I'm so sick of that shit. You know what? You know what Trump hates? Trump hated Obama so bad because he came underneath Obama. And Obama had a damn good economy. And he couldn't stand being underneath a fucking black man. Oh, no. So he had to destroy that. And now he went from So Biden, we had a bomb-ass economy. You know, people was bitching about egg prices and shit, but I ain't bitching about it now. Because, you know, the little master with the cum all over the fucking face. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, Grandma.
No, because you know what? I am so sick of you motherfuckers giving these damn people the fucking platform to steal this shit. And then we're the ones out here, we're trying to fight them. And then, you know what I mean? I'm so done.
No, I mean, I believe in free speech, Gangster Grandma. That's why I'm letting you speak.
You know what? Free speech comes with consequences.
Right, I agree with that. I agree with that.
That's why you're fluffing. Yo, see, there's a difference of free speech and misinformation. You feel what I'm saying? And spewing hate.
Well,
and you really believe
but Gangster Grandma, you're accusing the right of spewing hate. You're talking about Trump and Elon coming on each other, and they're gonna say you're spewing. They're gonna say you. How do you respond when folks say that you're spewing hate? You're talking about the white man and all this stuff.
I said white tea man. What? They're not white? Are they cocoa? Tell me what color they is.
You're making it sound. Hold on. You're making it sound like all white men lie, all MAGA are racist. They want to hang people.
They are racist. Oh my fucking God! If you stand with Donald Trump and you're standing with everything this motherfucker has done, then you are racist.
Is there? I mean,
it's exploiting all black and brown immigrants. You know what? Fuck around and find out. The white man gonna go out there and pick every goddamn thing, or go to what is that? Ohio, and do all those jobs that the Haitians are doing.
Yeah, we'll find out with all the deportations.
Yeah, if you stand with Donald Trump, you're still standing with him after all this shit. You're racist. There ain't no buts back. I still stand with Biden. I stand with Obama. I stand clearly with Vice President. I stand. You know why? Because I believe in this shit. They do the same goddamn thing with Donald Trump. They believe in this shit. They're racist. And I don't like this shit. I spit on them. And you know what? You over here calling them all beloved? Boy, let me tell you. They'll stab you in the fucking back.
All right, gangster, you've torn me. You've torn me to shreds today.
I'm being so damn real. I'm being so damn fucking real.
All right,
that's why people be calling you fluffing.
I gotta go. I'm not a fluffer. God damn. And Gangster Grandma always tears me apart. Listen, that's how the program is ran. By the way, if you enjoy free speech, that's a perfect example of it. You can do it on the other side as well. We get far right folks that say the same things about liberals. It's a free speech program. So you can be critical of anybody, including the host, which I just clearly demonstrated there. If you enjoy this type of open dialogue from all sides of the aisle, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and take out a moment to follow the program. If you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, we're on Instagram Live tonight. And of course, if you're on YouTube, a subscription, if you will. Generally, Monday through Fridays when we try to be here. So if you enjoy this type of dialogue from all sides of the aisle, you're in the right place. If you want to come up and be a caller, we are live on Instagram and TikTok. Same name, Handsome Liberal, across all platforms. So we'll bring you right up. You can correct, you can agree, you can compliment, you can criticize. That's how we're doing it. We're talking about Elon suggesting that he is not responsible for all of these federal firings, and whether there's some legitimacy to that, or if Elon is full of shit. Also, we started out by asking the simple question of, you see the whole live is titled, essentially states are starting to talk about avoiding coming to America. You seen the clip I was playing for her, because people are starting to get deported that let me just put it this way. We are way beyond anything that resembles a rapist or murder. Way beyond that. Innocent people are getting deported, getting detained for the littlest of reasons. We're way beyond anybody coming here to actually harm or hurt somebody. In fact, we're beyond even illegal immigrants. These people are legal that's happening this. I want you to hear a clip. This is an immigration attorney. This is not, I'm not here to say he's some reliable source or he's some, liberal plan or whatever, but I do want to, he's just giving advice as an attorney.
You should not leave the United States Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. I'm shooting this video in mid-March 2025, and I'm here to tell you that we've been seeing stories left and right of people who have valid immigration status not being allowed back into the United States. And it's sort of scary. We saw just this last week a green card holder get deported, a lady who had a pending green card case who flew back from Puerto Rico get deported. We saw the actress from Canada who had the TN visa, went to the border to get a visa renewal and was not only denied her visa, but she was also taken into custody and detained for 10 days around the southern border before she was sent back to Canada. So these are unusual times that we are in. These are the frontal attacks by Customs and Border Protection on immigrants at the border that we're going to see more and more of, and we're getting more and more news stories of. Now, historically, there have always been people who get refused at the border, right? But what we're seeing is the legal immigrants having their rights taken away, being detained, being forced to try to waive those rights, and being asked to surrender their green cards at.
And you coming to America, just come legally. That doesn't sound like that is what is happening now. We don't mind you coming to America, just come legally. He's making it clear that don't save you at all. And I want you to hear what he said toward the end.
Be allowed back into the United States if you leave, unless you're a U.S. citizen. And I believe even U.S. citizens are going to start getting more scrutiny. If I travel overseas, I'm not bringing my phone with me. There's all kinds of things that are going on at the border right now. You really need to be careful. You really need to be worried. And I'm not trying to scare people. Really, I'm not. I'm trying to educate people so that you make a good decision and hopefully decide not to leave the United States until you get your citizenship. I know it's mind-boggling, but that's all I can really say.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that this is justified? Do you favor Trump for doing this stuff? Do you think this will make America safer? By because none of this is in reference to illegal immigrants. None of this is. This is essentially what I mentioned earlier when folks were talking about Trump is acting like a dictator or whatever, and I stated I stated this many moons ago in many lives back, several months ago when people were indicating that Trump might be a dictator, and I'm like, well, I got to see evidence first. But I said one of the tenets of dictators is they don't just stop illegal immigrants from coming in a country. They essentially close the borders off, meaning comings and goings become difficult. Like North Korea, for instance, the citizens of North Korea can't leave and people cannot come in. Comings and goings become difficult. Remember the Berlin Wall? Reagan was known for quoting as saying, Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Comings and goings become difficult. So to me, if what this attorney is saying, and if this stuff starts to culminate, it is starting to look that way, where you can't come or go. So even as Americans, you need to be hesitant. And by the way, knowing that when you come back in, you're going to be scrutinized to such a level, and you may be detained for days and days on end, that may start making Americans think twice about going places if they don't have to go. Bachelor Smart says, should military-age illegals be required to serve to be eligible for citizenship and pay some type of affordable fine of $30,000? Well, I can't believe you would put affordable for an illegal immigrant and $30,000 in the same sentence. Like I stated earlier, Americans make more money than virtually every country south of the border, all the way on down to the tip, all the way down to Brazil. Every country from Brazil on up, Americans make more money. And $30,000 is not affordable for Americans. We make double, triple, quadruple the average income of most folks that live south of the border. Americans, I think, an average of about 60 to 70,000 a year is what Americans make. None of us could probably afford $30,000. And you're talking about somebody, by the way, you're talking to someone who did migrate to another country. I went through the process of migrating to Australia. It cost me thousands. I couldn't pay $30,000 though. It didn't cost me 30 grand to go down there. I had to get fingerprints. They do medical scans on you, and then they're going all up in your ass and shit. All of that, they do all of that. Make sure you're not bringing diseases, all of that. Criminal history, all of that. You got to pay for all of that stuff. And it wasn't 30 grand. It was not 30 grand. And I'm coming from a first world country. So yeah, expecting an immigrant, an illegal immigrant, to have 30 grand, it's just, I mean, that would pretty much make coming to America, it would just pretty much eliminate it, which I think is the kind of the goal anyway. And Maxwell Smart says, does the military pay wages? Do you think someone entering the military as a private, or you're entering at the lowest level, can afford 30 grand? That's probably just about their whole salary in some cases. No, that's not affordable. It's still not affordable. $30,000. It's still not affordable. The best thing about, I saw that real quick. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. I seen your correction, Will G. You said spitting in their face. You're saying MAGA is spitting in their face. All right. It's been a while since I've seen what the original comment was. Let me keep moving on, though. Make sure I didn't miss anything there. Therefore, Trump ain't shit. He said, therefore, Trump ain't shit. Matt and Musk smells like shit. Well, Elon Musk, Trump is claiming that Elon Musk doesn't have the power that everybody thought he did. So they're claiming that Elon Musk should not get responsibility for the firings. In my opinion, it's too late. They've been giving Elon Musk way too much credit for firing people to try to pop up now after tens of thousands of people have been let go, and he don't send out emails. And by the way, Trump has stated several times that Elon Musk is responsible for the firings. I should have had clips of that coming up, but Trump has already given Elon Musk credit for firing people. It's going to be impossible to try to convince people that he's not responsible for that. But because it is becoming so toxic to Trump's administration, because it's fucking up the Tesla cars, by the way, and there's probably a heap of folks, even some of you folks that are watching, that are being affected by Elon's Tesla stock dropping so much. So they're trying to get the heat off Elon to stop the financial bleeding. Yeah, Elon is the world's richest guy, but there's a whole lot of people that are around him that thought he was going to be, listen, he's the richest guy. He's got his way into the administration. Now's the time to invest in anything Elon has. We're going to make a fortune. And it's went the other way. And a lot of them are likely Trump's friends, associates, and business partners. So they're trying to save the bleeding financially by separating Elon from the reason people are, torching his damn Teslas and destroying his stock. I don't see how it's going to happen. My guess is Tesla stock is going to continue to be in shambles until he can leave the Trump administration. And even then, it's going to take a while to correct that because he's done so much stuff. They're calling them swatsta cars and all kinds of shit. Most of those countries are just as poor and have gang cartels and crimes as well, and don't offer refuge like the U.S. So you're responding to the notion that why don't people try to stop in another country? Why do they come all the way up to America if they're trying to seek asylum? Why don't you stop in one of the countries on the way? And he said most of those countries are just as poor and have gang cartels and crimes as well. It's true, but I don't know. I mean, like if you're trying to flee Guatemala or Nicaragua somewhere down there, and you're trying to request asylum in Mexico, seems like Mexico, they should try to protect you to some degree, because that's what they expect the United States to do. It is crazy that America is doing what the Hispanic community is not. All of these folks are coming from various Hispanic countries, and they don't seem to be able to find any type of refuge until they get to America. I mean, I don't know. If El Salvador, and I'm not a fan of the way the El Salvadoran president locked everybody up, even innocent people, but if he can make his country have a great reduction in crime, you got to assume Mexico and many of these other countries down there can do it too. You just got to get them to the point where they don't like corruption and the money they're making from being corrupt more than they do the safety of their own people. Whatever El Salvador did to lower crime, many of those other countries could do it too. You just have to give a damn. Mexico don't have to be the way it is financially. It doesn't have to be like that. You just gotta want to give a damn. Looking in the comments, they called to the mountains and I don't know what that's going on with that. Use the illegals as a front line for fodder. Yeah. All right. Let me go back to the box. We'll go to Love to Cruise. Good evening. Welcome to the program. The Tesla should be the national debt poster card child. It is going to be the national debt poster card child if it keeps going. Love to Cruise. Good evening.
Good evening, Tim. How you doing?
Can I interest you in a Tesla?
You can't, no, I got enough problems, man.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah,
Trump trying to save him. You know, he put Tesla up when he bought X.
You said what?
And he put Tesla up to buy Twitter.
Oh, he spent, what was it, 40-something billion he spent on Twitter?
Exactly.
And he lost value in that too. That's what went down in value.
So if Tesla goes under, he's losing Twitter also, or X.
Ooh. Is that how that works? So it's still tied to it.
Exactly. So Trump tried to save him, but as usual, everybody who messes with Trump goes under, but he stands tall. So I stand corrected. I said Elon was the president and he was the vice president, and I called him Pinky in the Brain, but Trump, man, everybody that messes with Trump goes under but him.
You know, I was making a video putting together some snippets, and that is true. The Rudolph Giuliani's, the Mike Lindell's, he seems to survive and come because he's made more wealth. But you are correct. The people that orbit around Trump that really idolize him, really believe in his message and support his agenda at that level, they all seem to walk away with less than they came.
Exactly. People go to jail, prison,
lose their careers.
But you can't get him.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as him shipping out everybody to El Salvador that has felonies and everything, we might be shipping out the next president.
Trump ain't going nowhere. The Supreme Court got his back. He ain't going nowhere.
Man, how can you as 34 felonies?
Those are a witch hunt. I heard those are a witch hunt.
Yeah, okay. So 34 of them.
That is a lot. 34
of them.
Have you heard from Fonnie Willis? How is she doing these days? I ain't heard nothing about Fonnie Willis.
Probably in the Caribbean somewhere.
Right, her ass got out of here.
That's right.
Hanging out with Rosie O'Donnell somewhere.
Exactly. You better get out of here.
You know, I'm wondering if there are not more Americans that are considering leaving this country because of what's going on.
Well, in the long run, to be honest, there's a line to get in here. There ain't no damn line to get out.
I think the line to get in here is shortening by a lot. I think folks
still want to get in. You know, if we can weather this storm, we still got the greatest nation in the world.
So that's a good point. So can we weather this storm though?
It's gonna be hard. What we gotta stop doing is complaining about what he already done and start heading him off at the pass at what he might do.
The Democratic Party is less united than, by the way, the MAGA Party is pretty strongly united right now. So how are you going to hit them off to the pass when you don't have a party?
Well, right now I think the Democratic Party's strategy is to let him hang himself. That's either not saying nothing and they're just laying in the weeds for the primaries to come around. But once again, I don't think that's the right strategy. I believe they have to emphasize everything that he does wrong and keep on throwing it in everybody's face the same way he does with his lies.
What about this whole fighting oligarchy that Bernie Sanders and AOC? I mean, these are two fairly polarizing folks themselves because they are considered far left. And many would suggest they have no chance of winning a national election where you got to unite the country. But they are drawing huge crowds at a time when nobody's even running for election. So what does that say about that?
It said the same thing that people were saying when they thought Biden was messing up. You're looking for a solution to the problem. And if this sounds good, we're rolling with it. But in the long run,
you think the liberals would roll with AOC? I mean, Bernie is 83 years old, so he'll be 85 in 2020.
That's the problem with him.
Yeah.
That's the problem with him. He's a little too old. But if you're going to sit up there and entertain the thoughts of Trump doing a third term, then you can't say Bernie's too old.
And that's a good point, because Bernie Sanders is just as lively as Trump. We're not talking about Biden now. Bernie ain't sleepy at all. Give him some mitts, give him some mittens, and he'll be all right.
I think Biden wasn't. I think his mind was still sharp, but since he had that stuttering problem when he was younger,
Did you see the June 27 debate? That wasn't stuttering. He started answering the question that wasn't even asked to him.
He couldn't get his point across. He can still run circles around Trump in the mind. He just can't express himself because of his stuttering.
If I ask you, what are you doing today? And you start talking about you cured the price of Medicare. what are you talking about? That did horrible.
Tim, I seen your reel about Trump with daylight savings time.
So, all right, you will.
Back that up.
You're pulling out the big punches now. Okay, I can't argue with you no more. If you've seen that, I'll leave it alone. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. He said,
that was really bad.
Grandma lose an hour. All right, okay. Yeah, that was bad. He said, what did he say? He's doing daylight savings time. We need to get rid of it. You know, you cut an hour. Grandma said, she's dead. She lost an hour.
Yeah.
I thought that was AI. I'm like, damn, that's bad.
Yeah. So I don't think Biden is as bad as that. And then also, I don't think Biden is sitting up here on a microphone making sexual gestures to a microphone. You remember what Trump was imitating? Okay.
The trolling of Trump is, I remember him doing like he was sucking. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I mean,
okay, so let's back up a little bit now. You know, and this is supposed to be a sane man.
Yeah.
Trump, and he's doing all this. So don't sit there and tell me he's sharper than Biden, because I don't see it.
But he did get the Ukraine and Russia to start having peace talks. That didn't seem like that was going to happen under Biden or Kamala.
Well, we don't know. Well, he was interfering with everything Biden was trying to do, from the border situation to Ukraine to everything. He was stopping everything Biden was doing in order to make himself look good.
Well, the thing, but the question gonna be, if Biden was doing such a good job, it wouldn't have been that easy for Trump to stop it. Trump was able to stop it because people didn't think Biden was doing a good job to begin with.
And I read both of Trump's books. Okay, both of them. And this is when I was into Trump, all right, before he went political. And in the books, he does say something about if you lie enough and long enough, people will believe it.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. I mean, he had people believing that they were eating dogs and cats in Ohio here.
He didn't. Well, with the dogs and cats thing, because you say if you lie enough and long enough, people will believe it. They believe that instantly. I mean, he said that at the debate, and by the next day, I was doing lies, and people already, it's in their culture to do it. Like we got little Haiti down in Florida. We got. I think it's 500,000 Haitians that live in the state of New York. Like, that ain't been in their culture to eat no damn cats and dogs. I mean,
I know that. But
I don't know.
MAGA wants to believe the worst anyway. So the fact that he said it, they're not going to investigate it. They're not going to do nothing. But Trump said it, so it got to be real. Yeah. And that's what happens with a cult. Damn. You're going to believe what this guy says no matter what. Now, Gangsta Grandma said all of MAGA. I'm not saying all of MAGA, but he does have a stronghold on maybe 20% of them, where they will go serve time, like January 6th. They will do anything for him. But I don't believe all of them like that.
Do you believe all? Yeah, she made it sound like all MAGA are racist. You don't see that.
Some of them are confused and want something better. And if somebody offers you and tells you that they're going to do better for you constantly, you're going to believe it.
She also
And
made it
we're
sound as
finding out
though
the-
she also
What's that?
made it sound as though MAGA would put a noose around my neck.
Well, I had to agree with her on that.
Really?
Yeah, the hardcore mega. I'm not talking about mega as a whole. I'm talking about the real ones that are down in the roots where they're half KK members and they're half mega. I'm talking about those guys. And they're the ones who, it's one thing to call them mega, and it's another thing to say make America great again, because those are the ones that want make America great again, where they will put a noose around you. And that's part of the deportation. Get the minorities out, then we're next.
But then shit, that sounds scary. But listen. I mean, if what you're saying is true, if what she's saying is true, then why hasn't MAGA been accused of taking anybody's life?
Who said they haven't? They may not did it under MAGA name, but KKK's been around for years, and they have took people's lives. So don't say they haven't. They're not doing it under the MAGA, so we know. And in January 6th, you don't think they're going to take a life if they could have?
They said that was a peaceful protest.
Oh, they did take a life. Matter of fact, they took policemen's lives.
They said that was a love fest. That was a love fest.
Yeah, okay, they love to kill. Or unlive, I'm sorry. Love to unlive, you know.
Yeah, Trump said that was just a bunch of patriots, expressing their First Amendment right to protest.
Once again, come on now. He got us believing want us to believe what we've seen with our own eyes. And there are the true mega that believe that because he said it. Even though they're watching it in real time.
But they did see some folks get let in and things like that too. I mean, the police were peacefully letting folks in on some of the sides of the building. They saw that as well.
Well, I didn't see that. And if they weren't there, I don't know how they saw that.
Well, I mean, there's video footage.
I see the barricades up. I seen police backing up. I seen them bolting down the doors and people taking everything they got and hitting the police and everything. I didn't see the part about come on in and take the tour of the of this area.
What it was. Now the police did let people in, like the QAnon shaman guy. There's video of him being let in, and there's 6 or 7 officers just standing by while he idly walks around. But the issue was they weren't let in. I think it's pretty obvious that the police realized they were overrun, and if you got protesters that are trying to come in, but they're not trying to cause any, violent ruckus, it's as opposed to trying to, fight with the person. It's better to de-escalate the situation. Just let him in, let him walk around, and keep an eye on him, and hopefully he leaves out. I think that's what they were doing.
I don't agree with that. Like I believe they were overpowered. Like you said.
What do you do though? Do you start shooting them? I mean, it's like 100 to 1.
All you gotta do is shoot one. You shoot one, everybody else gonna fall or gonna run. That's all you have to do. It doesn't say you have to shoot all of them. You shoot one. And they see that, ain't nobody gonna rush at you no more. They're gonna run.
You feel confident? You feel confident nobody in that crowd had a firearm?
No.
Well, they did. Well, Ashley Babbitt did happen to be that one you're talking about because they did shoot her.
I'm talking about from the get. We'd have been. If somebody did have a gun, we'd have been 2 shooting asses. Cause I'm busting caps. I'm not running back.
Did you see the black officer with his the ASP aspout? He had that collapsible baton, and he's running up the stairs, and they're chasing him.
Yeah. Well, they said he was a hero because he made a turn away from where they were having the meeting, and they followed him instead of going to. But even then, going up the stairs, I'd have turned around, man, and unloaded.
You'd have took them. He said, like 3 or 4 guys followed him. You would have killed them all, huh?
All of them. All of them. Every single one. All of them. Was shot. If they made a move, I shot them again. Man, we're under siege.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying the building was under siege, but your name, Love the Cruz, would be Loving Witness Protection or something, huh? You wouldn't be safe after doing that.
Think about this now. You got guys that are in there, and if you hear a shot, are you still continuing forward, or do you hear the words retreat?
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, if you are breaking in the building like they were and you hear gunshots going off, it probably would make you a bit hesitant to proceed forward. You don't know who just got shot, but you recognize the shot.
MAGA's, they're bullies anyway because they're just like their cult leader. And when somebody gets a firing back at them, they're turning around. They're cowards. They turn around and run like hell.
I kind of wonder, okay, if you had done what you're saying and the guy that took out Ashley Babbitt, I kind of wonder if why the Trump administration ain't went after him. I mean, because he wasn't.
No, they don't have no.
Huh?
They were just doing that. They were feeding the crowd. They were feeding everything for election. They know they don't have no case against this man.
Yeah, that ain't, and that's gonna stop him.
Well, on that one, it might.
I mean, they went after the law firm that I think defended Hillary Clinton. They didn't have a case against them either, and they actually prevailed. They got them to cave, and I think they agreed to give $40 million to some kind of Trump causes or something. Just like Disney. Disney also would have probably likely beat the Trump administration in normal times because George Stephanopoulos called Trump a rapist on air. So Trump sued the ABC network, and they also caved, and I think they're going to give $15 million to Trump's library when it's ultimately built. Under normal circumstances, Disney would have won that because you got a civil court that they have actually found that Trump was liable for sexual assault, which many folks see sexual assault and rapist as interchangeable terms. But because Trump controls everything, it's just easier not to fight him, and people are caving.
Well, let me ask you this. In those two scenarios that you gave me, what's the common denominator between those?
Trump.
No, besides Trump. Both of those companies got money.
Yes.
And that's all it's about, is the money. Okay, yeah. We can see, attacking that policeman, he has nothing. It ain't worth our time.
That's a good point.
It's not worth our time. But the law firm at Disney, yeah, I'm going after them. They got money. And that's all it's about with Trump is the money. He don't care about the poor people. You think he cares about MAGA? Hell no.
MAGA thinks he's the best president since Abraham Lincoln, even for black people.
Yeah, well, the drugs is good in their area.
All right. Well, listen, I can't speak on that. I mean, like I said, I'll give Trump, because you hear Gangsta Grandma accusing me of fluffing and holding it up for Trump. I'll give Trump credit if he does something that benefits my life, or I see where it's benefiting a lot of Americans. I'll give him credit. He's only been in 2 months. I haven't seen any of that. It's not like the price of eggs or groceries is really cheap all of a sudden. So, but if I see it.
Well, what has he done so far to benefit your life?
Nothing.
And then maybe she has a point when she says you're fluffing.
No, because I'm giving him credit for securing the border. Do you not believe that Trump has done a better job at securing the border than Biden?
Yeah. Now that's one thing. Trump outflanked Biden. Yeah. And Biden is more of a politician, but sometimes you gotta go kind of. Trump's strong suit is he go ghetto. He goes down low. Biden didn't. And he could have just signed the executive order. So I do hold him.
Yeah.
I do hold him responsible for that.
But I asked Gangsta Grandma, name one thing Trump, she couldn't name one thing Trump has done good for the country at all.
No, I agree with the border closing, and I agree with, shipping a lot of people out. Now, you say about due process. Due process is for the rich. It ain't for us.
You don't get the best due process, but you get it as a citizen. If you say you're innocent or something, you do get a day in court. It may not be fair the way they do it, but you do get to go to court. They don't just haul you off.
You get a day in court, man. If you jaywalk, man, they hit you with so many damn 30 charges, you're going to plead guilty.
Yeah.
You don't even get it. That's not due process. That's just overcharge you so you plead guilty.
That's a good point. That is a good point. That does happen a lot. A lot of people have taken guilty pleas.
Happens all the time. They stick you with everything, every charge they can think about, and you're going to cop out. So there is no such a thing as due process unless you're rich. And we have a little bit because we're poor, but for them, they're not going to get nothing. And this is to be expected from this country. This is what they have done all the time. Did the Indians get due process? Hell no.
No.
Did blacks come to slavery? We get due process? Hell no.
No.
This is what they do. Nothing's changed, just the times.
You starting to sound like gangster grandma with that.
I ain't cussing like her.
All right, I got to move it on, London Cruz, but always a pleasure. Thanks for coming through, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Anytime, anytime. All right, moving on with the program. Due process for the rich. I normally would be a bit hesitant, but the way he's explained that was pretty damn good. He's got a great point in suggesting that if they can play games with the system and ultimately get you to take a plea, and people do take pleas for shit they didn't do. And even from my MAGA side of the aisle, this is the same stuff you guys often throw up when I bring up the fake electors. A lot of the fake electors down in Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin that were trying to cheat for Trump, they pled guilty. And that's what MAGA often says. Well, you know, they were going to get railroaded by the system, and a lot of people plead. They don't normally care about people getting railroaded by the system and pleading guilty, but they did when the fake electors got caught up in it. But he is right. There are people who do plead guilty, often at the advice of a public defender. Because that's what public defenders, their job generally is that, to get you to take pleas. They don't fight your cases. They're not going to be Johnny Cochran where they're going to get up there and demonstrate how a glove didn't fit and how Mark Furman used the N-word 20 years ago. They're not going to do all of that. They're going to tell you, look, it looks like you don't kill this bitch and her boyfriend, and they're trying to give you the death penalty. If you take a plea, I can get you at least life. And that's what they do. They don't go and plead the case. That's what would have happened to O.J. Simpson if he was O.J. Simpson, the bus driver. He would have pled guilty to avoid the death penalty and got 2 life sentences. That's what a public defender would have told him to do. That's it. They're not going to go through all, but because you got money, you can get, Cochran went, like I said, Johnny Cochran went back and found that the guy used the N-word on a radio station in like North Carolina somewhere decades ago or years ago. That ain't gonna come out of a public defender. They don't have the money to do that stuff. So he's right. The pleading of people pleading guilty to crimes they didn't commit is quite common in America. That happened to me at 18, says Alter Ego. Never been in trouble before my dumb ass said I'm guilty, Your Honor. Yeah, that's gotta be rough to go before a judge knowing you didn't do shit and say I'm guilty. How do you plead? You got to get up there and say guilty because your lawyer done told you what they gonna do to you if you don't. And look, it's only 2 years. You'll be out in plenty of time to still have a life. If you don't take these 2 years, you're looking at 20, and they got a strong case against you. So you're in there, taking a plea deal, and once you go inside, ain't nobody gonna believe you innocent in there. You seen Shawshank. What are you in here for? The lawyer fucked me. Wasn't that the phrase they use in Shawshank Redemption? The lawyer fucked me. Everybody's innocent in here. Lawyer, and that's true. The lawyers do fuck people. Anyway, going back to the box, I'm going to go too far off the deep end here. That's why I said everything Trump touches goes to shit. Well, he doesn't go to shit, though. But yeah, the people that orbit around Trump lose a lot. I mean, I don't think it's even up for debate. People who affiliated with Trump lose a lot. Lots of people that affiliated with Trump lose a lot, whether it's their businesses, their careers, large amounts of finances, their good name, all of that stuff. They do. And Elon Musk is going to be one of them. Now, Elon Musk, the world's richest guy, he's not going to ever get to the point where he is impoverished or live like you and me. That's never going to happen. But he's going to lose a lot of money. My guess is by the time Elon is done affiliating with Trump, he probably will be maybe in the top 10, richest people on earth. But he's going to lose the number 1 spot. I don't think he's going to maintain that. He's going to lose the number 1 spot. And that just is affiliation with Trump. Just like Kanye West. He was the wealthiest black man in America before he started affiliating with Trump and the far right. Now, he's probably out of the top 10. But he was he had more money than Jordan, if I'm correct. And now he's out of the top 10. He lost a ton of money with his affiliation with the far right and affiliating with Trump. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you start, particularly if you're a person of color, I've said this on the program many times, is that if you are a person of color, particularly a black person, and whatever you do, athletics, you're an actor, you're a musician, you got a business, whatever you do to make your money, if your primary customer base as a person of color also happens to be people of color, affiliating with Trump is a disaster to your business. You can be a person of color like Candace Owens and not lose any money because her primary customer base is not people of color. But if you are a person of color, like Ice Cube reached out towards Trump, Steve Harvey started reaching out towards Trump in his first term, they quickly realized how toxic that was, and they got the hell away from him. You don't hear them talking about Trump at all no more. They quickly realized, I'm not going to maintain my fan base if I keep hanging around Trump. Only person I've seen so far maintain their fan base while affiliating with Trump that's a person of color, Mike Tyson. He's the only one I know. Everybody else that's an African American that hung around Trump and kept their fan base, they don't have a black fan base. Larry Elder, Hodge twins, them kind of people. They don't have a black fan base, nothing to lose. Looking in the comments, oh my fucking God, now you're threatening a loss of financial standing. But it's true though, Gen X. Give me someone, and there's been plenty of African Americans that have tried to affiliate with Trump. Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg performed at the inauguration. All of them taking big hits. Rick Ross took a big hit. All of them. If you hang around him, it's going to hurt you financially. So you say you're threatening a loss of financial standing left money. And by the way, threatening a loss of financial standing is not something unique to the liberal side. You remember the Dixie Chicks? They were very critical of Bush during the Iraq War. Well, the right canceled them. The right, they experienced cancel culture from the right. Country group, primary fan base were conservatives. When they started criticizing Bush for the Iraq War, they lost a huge fan base. We can talk about Colin Kaepernick with the NFL. We can even talk about Taylor Swift, who had a huge conservative fan base. She started being critical of Trump. Boom. So it happens. Elon Musk is just much deeper into politics than Colin Kaepernick or Taylor Swift or any of the other folks because he's working with the Trump administration. He's going to lose a lot of money. Let me go back to the box. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk is going to lose a lot of money unless something major happens because Tesla alone, he's getting crushed. Going back to the box, Mike, good evening. Welcome to the show. Now, I've been accused of fluffing already, Mike, so I'm assuming you ain't seen none of that, right?
I saw it all.
What?
I saw.
What did I do today?
No. I saw it happening. I'm not saying, but you always got a little fluff in there, a little fluff.
There's no fluff in today.
It's always a little touch of fluff.
Oh.
Why do you think he would lose money?
Who, Elon?
Why do you think he's gonna lose money? Mm-hmm.
Because most of his stock is tied into Tesla, and I don't see that bouncing back because Europe is avoiding Teslas like the plague. Germany, I'm working on a video right now where they did a poll in Germany. They used 100,000 people, which is a pretty big ass poll. 94% of them said they would never want anything to do with Teslas. The whole "my heart goes out to you," working with the far right AFB or whatever that group is, telling them that they don't need to feel guilty about the Holocaust. Tweeting out, he actually tweeted out that Hitler didn't have anything. I mean, he is toxic. So Tesla alone is where most of his money is wrapped up in, is why I'm saying that.
No, but you were saying his after Trump. You specifically said because of after his time with Trump, you think he's going to lose his value.
No, I think okay, let's say Trump steps down in 2028. When you assess his value at the end of the Trump administration compared to how it was when it started, it's going to be clear that after you started hanging with Trump publicly, you lost a ton of money.
So are you saying, I'm just asking you this I asked you this for a specific reason.
Sure.
So are you saying doing business with Trump is a bad thing?
Yes, but I'm just, here's the fluffing part of it. I'll say yes. Doing let me because I gotta be fair about this.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, no, you asked the question.
Fluffy,
Let me answer it. It's gonna be some fluffing because I'm going to defend Trump in some of this. The point I'm saying is, yes, doing business with Trump is going to hurt your business. But the fluffing part of this is no CEO or well-known business person should ever get involved in politics because when Elon Musk was presumed to be a liberal, the right didn't like him. And he wasn't anywhere near as liberal as he is now conservative. He wasn't anywhere near as deep in liberal causes as he is in conservative causes. But when they thought he was a liberal, a tree-hugging liberal with his save the climate cars, they didn't like him either.
No, I hear you. I'm just asking because I thought that was kind of funny because when we always say everything he touches turns to shit, and the people around him always are impacted negatively. Yeah. You were right. Actually, what you said was a microcosm from his first term to now. Everyone in his orbit after Trump is let me not say everyone, let me say the majority are in a worse position or were in a worse position than when they first met him.
I think you can get away with it if you don't do it publicly. Let's say, for instance, you support Trump, you invest in Trump, but you're not. Let's say like Dana White of the UFC. I doubt if he lose money being affiliated with Trump, but he is, and he's doing it kind of publicly. But I think you can support Trump, but don't do it publicly, and I think you'll be all right. When you start getting down the rabbit hole of the 2020 election was stolen and doing all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's going to hurt you.
I'm laughing at you, and I said it for a reason. Because if you go back, I want you to do this research. Everybody think about it. How much money has Joe Rogan lost?
I don't know. Has he lost a bunch of?
Yeah, he lost a ton of money.
I thought he lost a ton of money when he tried to criticize Elon.
No, Trump. I'm talking about he's lost a lot of viewers.
Okay.
From his podcast right now. Losing a lot of viewers means money, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Love the Cruise, the Pillow Guy.
Mike Lindell and Rudolph Giuliani are probably the worst examples of it. Yeah, both of them, they really lost a lot.
It's just crazy. But you were saying earlier, how they're trying to say that it's not Elon, and Elon's even saying it's not him. But you remember at the conference, you remember at his address to Congress, but I told you, he kept pointing out the heads of all those departments. My name, such and such, such and such, good luck on that. Such and such, good luck on that. And I was laughing the whole time going, he is setting those people up. Listen, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, everybody on his cabinet is going to, what he's going to do. He didn't even sign his executive orders according to him. Right?
Yeah, ain't gonna. I get what you're saying, and you're right. They're trying to create scapegoats, but Trump has actually given Elon credit for firing people several times. So it ain't gonna work in this case. He got actual quotes.
He's done it. Tim, we got quotes from other shit he's done. What are you talking about? What do you mean it's not gonna win? You call him Teflon. Listen,
wait, hold on. I don't think you hear what I'm saying. I'm saying Trump's going to survive. He's like Irene Cara. Yes, he will survive. I'm talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not going to convince people that he's not responsible for the firings. He's going to pay a price for that. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's going to be able to convince people that he didn't have anything to do with it. Like MAGA reactions on here trying to suggest that Elon is just an advisor or something like. No, Trump has came out and said you're the one that's firing people.
I think he'll get away with it if Trump continues to tell them that he wasn't charged. If Trump echoes whatever Elon says, it'll become what Trump says.
Yeah, but how many? I hear you. Here's where I'm pushing back though. We're getting to the point now where we're cutting MAGA. I mean, we're to the point where these town hall meetings and shit like that, people showing up are it's easy to convince MAGA you're doing the right thing for America when it's not affecting MAGA. But now you got veterans and stuff like that who their money is being affected. People losing their farms and shit like that. And it doesn't, okay, you want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, There's going to be some temporary suffering, but we'll be okay. That ain't going to work on somebody who lost their whole fucking farm. How you going to get my farm back by what you're talking? You're not about to get my whole farm back. So we're getting to the point now where some of the stuff he's doing is hurting MAGA. So I don't know if you can just, I don't, even with Trump's words, I think there are going to be some loss of MAGA at this point.
Listen, you know me. I'm not when I I agree with you. But what I'm telling you is this happened. Farmers lost their farms in his first presidency, right?
Yeah. So well, not like this though. It's much worse now.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Yeah, and it's going to be much worse. The problem's going to be, and I'm talking publicly. You're not going to publicly. Nobody talked about that stuff publicly when it was happening in the first term.
Well, this is where the liberals need to be. You know, these Bernie Sanders, AOC. They probably need to get somebody other than them too. But this is where the liberals need to be interviewing them folks and plaster them all over TV and social media whenever they can.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, just like Trump's quotes. That's why I started laughing. Trump's quotes about daylight savings. Have you heard the right say anything about that? Have you had a?
They said it was fake.
Exactly. This is my thing. This is how deep the cult is. This is how deep the cult of personality is. And listen, I wasn't convinced of this before. I really wasn't. And you called him Teflon Don. You called him Teflon Don all the time.
I still think
some of this rhetoric. If he says, and look at MAGA reacts. MAGA reacts will dig a hole for himself and cover himself with Trump does and say he's flying. If Trump says he can fly. Listen, he spins himself around in these, he's an accountant. He's not an accountant. When the hell is, Elon's not an accountant. They're not doing anything, Tim. Yeah. But if Trump convinces him that that's what he says, he will find a way to make it sound like that's what he said. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, and I've never heard Elon Musk even Elon himself has never suggested that he's an accountant or any of the people he's brought with him. They have never even used the word accountant. So
have you heard forensic audit? Have you heard business continuity management? Have you heard any of those things?
No, I've heard code programmers and shit like that.
In a chainsaw.
Right, right.
And what kind of shit is that if you're trying to be serious about caring about people, but they don't care about people? And people like MAGA Reacts and Jeremy and Twisted, and Gen X, they'll try to, and Julio, they will twist themselves in a pretzel to make sense of something that it's not even plausible. And you know how I can tell if I don't talk to any other creator on this app? From the time I met you to today, your arguments are getting shorter and shorter.
And it's pissing off. And it's pissing off my MAGA audience. And like I tell them all the time, my MAGA audience came to me because I was pretty critical of Biden during his administration. But because I try to be complimentary and critical of both sides when there's something to compliment or something to criticize. Right now, there's not a lot on the Trump administration to compliment because most of the stuff and I've asked people like, what letter grade would you give Trump? And my MAGA audience be like, I'll give him an A+ and things like that. Most of the accolades, the good things that Trump is doing that people are giving him credit for, it's just stuff he's telling you that he's doing. Other than the border, which I give Trump high marks on securing the border, all of this finding of waste, fraud, and abuse, there's little to no proof any of that is real. It's just Elon said it, so we're going to give credit to Trump. He's found billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse that Biden couldn't, so he gets an A+. All of that may be a lie. You don't have any evidence that any of that is real. So, I'm trying to be fair with it, but I can't give people credit for shit that they just saying they did.
And it's just getting harder and harder and harder. And again, if people listen, I can take off. I'm not even talking about left or right. To me, it's literally I'm just watching action. I'm just an action guy. I kind of watch what's going on, and I read and I make an assessment. But I do have a bullshit meter that's pretty accurate. I don't know how yours is, but mine is pretty accurate. So when I see it, I still don't have to make a decision.
Okay.
Or I didn't have to express it. But I'm just watching, and I've been watching this whole time, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And your arguments are getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah,
because they're not giving you a lot of room.
They're not. Certainly, when you're starting to get rid, I'm 100% fan of securing the border, but when you're getting rid of people without due process, I'm not going to try to spin that and make that sound good. Like you see Tom Homan talking about, well, what about Lincoln Riley? That's not an argument for denying somebody due process. That didn't have anything to do with the murder of that girl. I mean, that has nothing to do with that.
Nothing, but they use it and they believe it, and he's only saying that to reboot that fear, right? I'm just going to reboot that fear. Lincoln Riley, one of your followers, he brings it up every single time. Lincoln Riley, and I'm like, they've got you convinced that that's what this is about. Because here's the thing, he revoked the legal status for 530 immigrants, right?
1,000, wasn't it?
530,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Venezuelans and Cubans. And by the way, real quick before I want to say,
status.
go ahead. I got something I want to say on that, but go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Now, what I was going to say is, we know that the Cubans, legal Cubans, citizens Cubans, Cuban Americans, they voted for Trump in strong numbers down there in Miami and over there in Florida. So did a lot of Venezuelans. And I'll tell you one thing, because people often say that the left wants to let illegal immigrants in this country because they believe they're going to one day turn into votes. So that's why Biden or Obama or whoever they want to say let people in the country, because they believe the Hispanics are going to vote for the Democrats. I do believe there's some validity to that, but I will say this, after the Trump administration, it's almost like Lyndon B. Johnson said, I'm going to have these folks voting for me for the next 200 years. Trump has, my guess is he's probably destroyed any hope of the Hispanic vote going right for at least several elections. I just can't even the Venezuelans and the Cubans who fled the Castros and fled Hugo Chavez and socialism and all that stuff. They're not voting for Trump. They're not going to vote for a Republican candidate probably for at least a decade or more, because of even the ones that supported him got fucked over. So I think that is gone. The Republican Hispanic vote, the Latinos for MAGA, Latinos for Trump and all that. I think he's destroyed all of that.
I agree with you 100%. And they've set it up that way to burn it down, to burn Washington down from within, which was the name of the book. Because there's no going back from this.
Yeah. Now in the comments though, what I just said, Mr. Bullboy, something, he said that's false because most of the legal immigrants want it. Yeah, the legal immigrants want the gangbangers and illegal immigrants kicked out. He sent like what you just mentioned, the 500,000. He sent a lot of legal migrants that were here legally from Cuba, legal migrants from Haiti, legal migrants from Venezuela. He's sending legal people out.
Yeah, and what your caller's failing to not realize is the legal immigrants that are here, the legal migrants that are here are watching. They're watching and try to take their rights away. They're watching take away legal status, so they're going shit. I don't need nobody. It's about harm reduction, and that's what they don't understand. With marginalized communities, vote on harm reduction. Who's going to do the least harm to me?
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine Trump not having greatly damaged the Hispanic vote. I mean, even in Marco Rubio too, who happens to be Cuban, because they liked him down there, and now he's riding with Trump on all of this stuff. I mean, they're doing this to Cubans down there that supporting him. I cannot see the Trump administration or the Republicans coming out of this without greatly damaging the Hispanic vote. I just can't see it.
Hey, look, Tim, I'm gonna tell you. It hurts worse when your own people do it, you know. And when those Cubans look at Mark Rubio,
Ted Cruz,
and now they try to shuck and jive and dance for it. Man, you can't go back. You can't go back home after that.
There's no way I can see. Like the viewer said, the legal migrants they didn't want legal people to be kicked out. I mean, people with green cards that right now they're advising you that, like over spring break, they were telling folks, if you don't have to travel internationally, don't, because there's no guarantee you can get back in the country. Legal people with green cards and shit, legal folks.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you this: Have you had a Hispanic, anybody from the brown community that's on the right come on your show since the time you started this election cycle and say, no, well, hold on, that were Trump supporters that said that they thought that there would be legal. They always said he's not talking about legal citizens. He's not talking about legal citizens. They all ones that are in favor of deportation, right? I mean, I've heard so many Hispanic males on this app that were with mass deportation.
I think I may have. It's been.
I know you have.
Yeah, I think I have.
On your show, listen, and they said, but he's only talking about the illegal ones.
Yeah,
he's only talking about the illegal ones. Those voters are now going, shit.
Yeah,
I guess they were right, and that's the part that your caller is missing. This is my last thing, and then I know you got to move it on. I was on AJ's rant the other day.
Oh my God! And he was he was suggesting that Elon has nothing to do with the firings.
Right. And then as soon as you started, when he asked you to pull up the video or pull up the things and you pulled it up, do you see what he did to you?
He had to go.
No, let's move on. Let's change the topic. Right.
Yeah.
And here's why that's a problem. That's dangerous because there's people that are listening to him and he won't even admit that he was wrong. Yeah. That's how bad it is. He wouldn't say, no, you know what, you were right. I'm wrong about that because there are people that follow him. Yeah. And those people that follow him, it's just like Trump. Those people that follow him, they're being lazy and leaning on you for accurate information.
Yeah, and I was sitting in I'm sitting in the car doing that.
Yeah, and you did everything he asked you to do. Even when you said I don't have my second device, now you're deflecting. So you said hold on, and
right.
You know, and so my point is to the when you listen to the MAGA reacts, I'm like, sometimes you got to just stop talking or say something out loud to make it real. Because just typing it sometimes or saying it to yourself, when you say it out loud, you realize how stupid that shit sounds.
And you know, it's interesting. I didn't know you were in that live, but I did have other viewers that watch me regularly. And they were direct messaging me like, you cannot debate with these fools. I mean, so they had somewhat of a similar opinion as you, but yeah, I mean, they're trying to suggest that Elon Musk, which is what MAGA Reacts was doing too, that Elon Musk has nothing to do with these firings, yet he's sending out messages talking about if you don't respond, consider it a resignation. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to convince people of that.
No, and you were actually talking about Trump. He said Trump didn't say, I forgot what he said Trump didn't say. You did, and you said he did say it, and that's that was the second topic. That's when he was
I pulled the video. I know what you're talking about. And he didn't want to hear that either.
Right. He didn't want to hear that either. That's my point. So we have to fight the good fight. And so when you ask me, this is my last thing. When you ask me about do I feel Trump did this and that, I always say to you, I don't know because I don't know the motive. Because what I see from him, if you say he did something good, I haven't seen the motive be good. Just because the outcome is one thing doesn't mean the road to getting there was based on you wanting to do right for the people.
Well, I'm not. I got to fluff. You gonna hear fluffing because this is the same argument I use on everybody from Lyndon B. Johnson to Abraham Lincoln. Neither one of those folks wanted to do what they did for blacks either. Lyndon B. Johnson only gave us civil rights because he made the deal with Martin Luther King made the deal with JFK. Same thing with Abraham Lincoln. He was quoted as saying if he could end the Civil War without freeing anybody black, he would do it. My point is this: it doesn't matter if you have good intentions or not. If you do something that greatly benefits me in my life, I'm giving you credit, even if you didn't want to do it, because you didn't have to do it. So if Trump does something that benefits people of color or immigrants or whatever, even if he had bad intentions of doing it, like Operation Warp Speed, for instance, I don't know if he actually had good intentions with that shit. But at the end of the day, it brought us a vaccine that many are attributing to saving millions of lives. So he gets credit for it.
Again, those two examples you gave qualifiers.
Okay.
Before you got to the thing. People don't give Trump qualifiers. They just get to the thing. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You talked about LBJ and Abraham Lincoln, but you're talking about a group of people, not the whole populace. Do you think, this is what I mean. Do you think if COVID was just impacting black and brown
oh my God,
you would have got Operation Warp Speed?
I hope so. Jesus.
No, Tim, no. See, that's what I mean.
I'm not that. I mean, hold on. I'm not going to say I feel confident that if it was only affecting black and brown people, Trump would let us die. That's what you're trying to tell me?
No, what I'm saying to you, okay, but you just said the same thing about Abraham Lincoln and about LBJ. They did what they did, right? You gave it qualifiers.
Right.
And I'm saying to you, you're giving him credit for warp speed, but you gotta compare apples to apples. If warp speed was based around black and brown folks, would it have been called warp speed? Do you believe by the evidence that he's presented and how he moves about black and brown people that it would have been the priority that it was, Tim?
I'm going to say I can't say yes or no because Trump is. Let me respond. Trump is transactional. So if there's something in it for Trump to gain, my answer to your question is yes. If there's not anything in it for him to gain, or maybe his supporters think that you're spending way too much money on black and brown people. Why should, we don't have a virus, but what about the fact that some of us get cancer? Why are they getting all this money for COVID? Then he probably wouldn't do it.
Tim, he just canceled federal money for the lead pipes in Detroit, man. What are we talking about? He's shown us with his executive orders right now, all of his executive orders hurt marginalized communities. All of them. All of them.
All of them? I'd have to look into it.
Well, tell me one that doesn't. Just tell me one that doesn't.
Yeah.
Instead of you telling me the ones that do, tell me the ones that don't.
I can't think of all his executive orders. I mean, he got all.
Okay, let's say the majority. Let's say the majority impact black and brown folks. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't think when he's firing people all over the damn place, I think that everybody's affected by that, not necessarily just black and brown workers.
Yes, but what about the Board of Education? What were those things put in place for?
They're put in place to give black and brown people a leg up.
So if you take it away, does that mean you give a fuck about us, Tim?
It's not good.
So, matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you this. The virus would have been easier. The response, if they knew it was just black and brown folks, and getting the vaccine for the virus would have been kin to smallpox. Oh, I know you want to sit on that. I don't know. You got to. Tim, if you're taking away our rights now because you have an opportunity, right?
Trump hasn't taken away any rights.
He's trying to, Tim. Is he trying to or not?
Give me an example.
You use this analogy on the Board of Education, rolling back trying to roll back the Civil Rights Act.
Shit.
Not celebrating anything for any black or
he's taking away privileges. I'll say that. Privileges for black and brown people Trump does not like. I mean, he's
What about segregation, Tim? What about what he just did with segregation?
Yeah.
Banning the segregation. What about taking away the legal status of these 530,000 legal status? Why? They're legal. I thought we were talking about illegal.
No, I think when it comes to immigration, that Trump is just trying to close the border. Period. I really do. I think it's going to become harder and harder to lead this country too. I think he's just literally shutting the border down.
I don't disagree with you. I'm asking you why. We keep dancing around the why because people don't want to admit what it really is. It wasn't about crime. It wasn't about. It was never about crime.
Rule.
None of this shit.
It's about
rule and putting white folks back at the top of the totem pole and moving us down where the fuck they believe we're supposed to be.
Yeah, like I said, I don't. There's enough there that I can't deny what you're saying with confidence anymore. And like you said, my pushback is getting weaker because the ammunition is getting too heavy.
It's just getting too heavy. But see, now what's happening is they want to tear it down. They've never cared about the middle class and the lower class.
Hold on. I do got to move it on, but MAGA reaction in the comments says closing the border helps the poor. We're out of housing.
But you see how dumber they getting as the weeks go by. Like, do you understand the absolute? I mean, it's crazy. It's not going to get any better. It's going to continue to go this way. There will be a demarcation. I did think it would happen by now because we're almost at the end of March. I told you March. It's not. It doesn't look like we're gonna see the total impact at the end of March, but it's coming. It's coming because now you're starting to get Republican voters reaching out to the Democrats, asking them what are they doing to try to stop this shit.
And it's a damn shame that the Democrats don't have unity or a decent answer. I gotta move it on though, Mike.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Yep, appreciate it though, because Bernie Sanders and AOC ain't it. They're drawing huge crowds, but what they need to do is draw huge crowds and introduce us to somebody that people can get behind. Bernie Sanders is way too old, and I still think that right now AOC is too polarizing. She likely could upgrade though. She could probably go from representative to a senator. She probably could pull that one off. But I don't think she can be, I don't think she's going to be able to pull off anything at the national level in terms of like a president. So, but they're drawing these huge crowds. So if they wanted to have an event featuring somebody, this is the type, like if you had a really good speaker that had a good chance of climbing up in the ranks, they would be the perfect duo to introduce America to them because they're able to get so many millions of people to show up. Or, well, more thousands, tens of thousands. I mean, they had a rally the other day that had like 30,000 people because Bernie Sanders was talking about, this is one of my biggest rallies I've ever had. He said, ain't nobody even running for office. He said, this shows you how pissed off people are that I can have a rally with this many folks show up and I'm not even running for an office. So the people are mad. You just got to give them somebody they can believe in. Isn't that a song? Give them something they can believe in. So the Democrats got the ear of a lot of Americans simply because Trump is doing things that piss people off. But the Democrats are not producing anybody that people can get behind. I think right now the Republicans probably have a better chance of producing somebody that might be an alternative to Trump. I'll secure the border. I'll get the economy back on track, but I won't do all of the harsh things that may be affecting people that Trump has. Maybe. I could be wrong on that, but I'm saying the Democrats definitely need to produce somebody that people will be willing to rally behind, and they just are not doing that. I wanted to respond to a super chat. I had hoped Trump would do right. I'm disappointed, says Joe D. I'd have to know what your definition of Trump doing right is, because I will say that as controversial as Trump may be, he's not very surprising. Most of the stuff he's doing, he kind of indicated it. He's probably firing a little bit more people than we thought he would fire, but you knew he wanted to shrink government. He's probably deporting a few more people than we expected because some of these folks are legal and green card holders. But you knew he was going to deport a whole bunch of people. It ain't like it's a surprise. I mean, the guy was bragging, saying, if I get elected, I'm going to have the largest deportation in U.S. history. You would have to assume that some innocent people are going to get caught up in something like that. And of course, they already are. I am certain there's some innocent people in that prison in El Salvador. I'm certain that that's the case. They all from the same party and we're not invited. I don't know if I buy that. I don't buy that they're all from the same party. I wanted to also thank you there, Viral Talks. Appreciate that. That didn't go unnoticed. Thank you for your support, Viral Talks. If Trump was a woman, would you guys vote for him? This is obviously a homophobic statement or transphobic statement. Let me make something clear. A lot of Democrats are not as pro-trans as the right make it sound. There's a whole lot of Democrats, including myself, that do not believe biological males should play for a boys' team or whatever. That type of stuff. I mean, I consider myself an ally of the trans community. I don't hate them. But I don't believe a biological male. If I wanted to put a wig on, should I be able to go out and play against females at 6'6", 300 pounds? No, I don't buy into that. I just push back on the argument that the right, this stuff is rooted in hatred because this is happening with so few people that it shouldn't get the attention it does. And I don't want to go into a tangent like I usually do, but I say this all the time when people say, well, I don't want a biological male in the bathroom with my daughter and all that bullshit. Your kid has a significantly greater chance of being sexually assaulted by most of the people you leave them with. Daycare centers, your teachers in school, elementary school teachers abuse kids all the damn time. Hell, even letting your kid get a ride home with a cop has a greater chance of being abused than a transgender person. The priests, we talked about religion, the people that you actually trust, the Girl Scout leaders, the coach, them the ones that's actually raping fucking kids that actually are doing it. Not could happen. They actually are doing it. Been doing it for decades. Them the ones that's actually been doing it. So this whole thing about, well, I don't want these people around my kids, they may harm my kids. The people that you have around your kids are harming your kids. They're doing it now. They're not. It ain't about something that may happen in the future. So to me, constantly bringing up the transgender community is just out of hatred. Because if you really cared about kids, you would be bitching louder about the people who actually are abusing kids than the ones you think might do it. Real quick, but getting back to the comments though, I can't believe the increase in wickedness. I don't know what wickedness means, but Alter Ego and Beth, thank you very much for the support. Real quick, going to the box. I'm going to bring up Sherman on Instagram. By the way, if you folks watch on Instagram Live, we also take guests over there. I'll see if I can bring him up because he's been waiting. There we go. Sherman, good evening.
Howdy, Tim.
Hey, you've heard a lot. What brought you up?
I was just always trying to complain about the hatred of MAGA and how much they just want to tear things down.
Yeah, what about this notion that it ain't all MAGA, because according to Elon, he ain't firing nobody. This is what I'm hearing.
I mean, it reminds me of Trump saying he's never had to repent for anything with Jesus.
Oh, shit. You went there.
I've never done anything wrong. Well, I've never fired anybody. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But did you ever watch those videos when he took over Twitter and he'd be on a call about servers or whatever? Somebody would disagree and he'd just go, hey, you're fired. Effective immediately.
Did he do that for real?
Oh, yeah. I saw at least 5 or 6 of these videos where he'd be firing different people just off of a whim. Hey, you're done. Get out.
So that almost seems like he takes pleasure in terminating people.
Well, I mean, he buddied up with the guy whose, catchphrase was "You're fired."
You're fired, yeah. Wow.
Is it really that surprising?
Yeah. So do you agree with me that over the next 4 years, Elon's wealth is probably going to drop somewhat?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, he'll still be incredibly wealthy, but he won't be number one by the time this is done.
I mean, if he actually focused on his other projects other than Tesla and being in politics, he'll be rich forever, just in the Boring Company alone. But I've also heard some shit where he gets started on like 20 of these projects and didn't complete any of them. They just were abandoned. I don't actually know the true facts of that. I just remember seeing a story about it.
Wow.
But, I mean, other than SpaceX and Starlink, I don't really know what else is bringing him money, and all of the other countries are canceling their contracts with Starlink.
Yeah. Well, he does have the.
He's going to take a big hit from being a dick.
Yeah,
Trump somehow gets away with it, but the rest of the world can see what's going on.
Yeah. I saw that flash of lightning, but I'm like, damn, is that lightning? Yeah, I saw that. Your lights just went out.
A little crazy right here. No, it's just my garage light.
Oh, I saw that flash of lightning behind you. So, but yeah, I said the same thing, that if you're in business, if you're a CEO or a major, I mean, really, if you're a celebrity or anything, you probably should not get involved in politics if you care about your entire fan base. And Elon Musk, because when Elon was perceived to be a bleeding heart liberal with his electric cars and people believe was to save the environment, the right didn't like him either.
I mean, but the right is also very hypocritical, so I don't think any of that really matters to them. It's just, is he helping us out right now? Great. Otherwise, Rhino, get the fuck out.
Yeah, but here's...
Really seems to matter.
Well, let me take a moment to put on my MAGA hat and get accused of fluffing here, because you're saying the right is hypocritical. Let's be clear. If Elon Musk started criticizing Trump the left would take him in today. Look what they did with Liz Cheney. Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would. If Elon, let's say Elon Musk, because you saw what happened when him and Steve Bannon were getting into an internet spat. He told Elon to fuck. I mean, Elon told Steve Bannon to fuck himself in the face, and they were start. If Trump and Elon started going back and forth at it, you don't think the liberals, some liberals, will start taking a liking to Elon for delivering that to Trump?
Well, Tim, it's realistically the same scale of all the liberals that I don't like. The ones that are protesting, stop all oil motherfuckers, staying in the street. I'm sure there are some people like that will, bring him in. But it is such the minority that it's not worth talking about.
I don't know.
The minority, and then they became everything.
I don't know if I agree with you because
it's a powerful thing, Tim, and the whole world hates Elon Musk right now after he's tried to do clearly fascist things.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking. Yeah, I'm not talking about internationally.
I don't care what MAGA says.
Yeah, I'm not.
The rest of the world sees you that way. You're not coming back from that. People will not invest with him at this point.
Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I'm not talking about internationally. I mean, in this country, if you were in a position where people thought you could slow down Trump, even if you're far right, a lot of Democrats, like Liz Cheney, she voted with Trump like 95% of the time during the first term. And the minute she started criticizing him for January 6th, the liberals, she's on The View, she's everywhere, even though she is the one that propelled Trump's term the whole time. She was enabling him.
But it was more of, hey, we can work with even the worst of you guys when they were trying to bring her in. And when conservatives were screaming, they're going to take away your country, you won't, have a country anymore. And we're just like, hey, we'll bring you guys in. Even the worst of you guys, we shouldn't like this person, but we'll talk with you.
Yeah, but
it didn't matter.
Think about it, though.
You're conspiring with the enemy.
Think about it, though. Let's say Elon and Trump, and this is purely fictional, but let's say Elon and Trump have a falling out, and Elon is on X or whatever saying that, I'm going to primary all of your candidates, and MAGA is about to burn in hell. You don't think the liberals will start liking that guy?
Some, but I never will.
Okay, maybe not you.
But to be fair, my car just took a giant shit, and so I'm looking.
You got a Tesla?
Maybe no.
Oh.
Maybe I would probably barter for a Tesla. I'll drive that fucker for a while if I can sell my shitty car.
You can probably get one much cheaper now.
So they might call me a hypocrite, but fuck it. If the man's driving a cool electric car, I just don't like the man. I'll never give him my money directly. I already hate that my cell phone service uses Starlink, but I'm not going to cancel my cell phone service.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Elon wouldn't have thought about that because his car, the Tesla, for the liberals that want to get away from fossil fuels, like this was a progressive status symbol to have a like. Why would you go with Trump?
Really cool.
Huh?
They were really cool, but it doesn't matter. The rest of the market came up at the same time. He had the corner at the beginning, but
I mean,
you can get the same shit from somebody else now. It's not so much that Tesla is the only game on the road that looks moderately decent.
Yeah, but if it was, he still had like the lead in the market share. I'm just thinking like the liberals are really liking your car. Why would you go to the right? And they've said all this critical shit about your product. And that's what's happening now is that there are not enough Republican purchasers of Tesla to replace all the liberals that are going away from it. The liberals are trying to buy your car. The only Republicans that are going to buy your shit is Trump and Sean Hannity. But you had regular liberals buying those cars.
The reason the liberals were buying those cars were because they were in LA, New York, Austin. There was all these places you could get around pretty quickly in a short distance.
Yeah, but not only that. But not only were the
Republicans in the country, they can't go 300, 500 miles. They got to be able to just stop and get gas. You really picked the wrong demographic.
I mean, not only were the liberals buying the Teslas, you had liberal governors and mayors passing laws that required electric vehicles. Like, why would you go against that party? I mean, you had the city of New York pass a law that all ride-sharing vehicles got to be electric by like 2030. You see what was happening in California with EV? Like, why would you go against that party?
but he could make a ton more money. I mean, just remember the week of the election,
how you gonna make more money than that?
Gained like $10 billion. If he was able to cash out and go to Barbados or something, he could, have done really well, but he just kept at it. He made himself look even worse.
I don't know. To me, it makes no
CEOs
sense.
try and hide themselves so they don't get called out. He let himself pull his full ass into view.
Yeah.
Especially once he started doing the salutes. What are you talking about?
You tell me my heart goes out to you? That's just a friendly salute. Yeah. My heart goes out to you.
When literally the rest of the world disagrees.
Yeah.
We might be a big country. We might be the richest country, but we are not the only ones that matter.
Yeah, and I agree with what is it, 40 FM in the comments that said self-sabotage. Him and Kanye West is another example, because Kanye West really is just, I don't know, that guy, the self-sabotage from Kanye is insane. It's far worse than Elon. Man, I've never seen anybody sabotage themselves worse. You probably had to go to somebody like Amy Winehouse or Whitney Houston or somebody to do somebody who killed themselves.
Kanye got brainwashed, almost like Clockwork Orange, and they were doing the eye drops on him and just making him watch all this shit. And I love the H-Man, whoa.
Yeah, I
what
mean,
happened?
Yeah, he walking around with swastikas on his clothing and shit.
I saw that. What the fuck is happening where that's okay? I mean, I remember growing up, you were going to get your ass beat to the ground if you're walking around with shit like that. I think we've gotten a little too civilized, Tim.
Yeah, him walking in the street with that shirt on kind of reminds me of the Bruce Willis movie with Samuel L. Jackson, where the guy's standing out there with a sign that says "I hate N-word." It was Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, and they made Bruce Willis stand on the corner with a sign that said "I hate N-words." And it was in Harlem, so I don't know if you've seen. I think it was Die Hard with a Vengeance. It was Die Hard. It was one of the Die Hards.
Die Hard?
Yeah,
okay, it's probably the second one.
Die Hard with a Vengeance or something like that.
A bunch of times.
Yeah. So.
But either way, is there any other topics, Tim?
So, yeah, we also were talking about the whole lack of due process and the fact that
they have the worst arguments to defend it too. It's amazing.
I don't
should have some basic rights, and all of a sudden, nah. Forget female rights to do what they want with their body. These people don't even have the legal right to see a judge about
nothing.
Anything. It's amazing.
I played Tom Homan, Trump's border czar. He was. I want you to listen to this. He was asked about. Obviously, you're not a fan of. He's asked about the due process. Listen to his answer.
Out of the country and put them in to a notorious prison in a country that they're not even from. I mean, do they have any due process at all?
Look, due process. Where was Lincoln Riley's due process? Where were all these young women that were killed and raped by members of TDA? Where was their due process?
Well, the people that did that should be prosecuted.
How about the young lady that burned alive on the subway? Where's her due process?
Well,
the bottom line is that plan was full of people.
In other words, no. In other words, no. They don't get due process.
Can't find something else other than Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
I'm not downplaying that was a bad thing, but if you had more examples, if this was such a critical issue, you'd have more things than one person.
That's a great point.
Pretty sad at this point.
Yeah, that's a great point. I said it all the time. You got what, these 18, 20 million illegals, and they're supposed to be all rapists and murderers, and you keep going back to Lincoln Riley. I said, because being from Chicago myself, if you watch the 10 o'clock news in Chicago, you're going to hear about some murders. There's a lot of murders in the city with 8 million people. If you watch the news tomorrow, you're going to hear about somebody else that got shot. They're not going to keep talking about the same person that got shot on Monday for 3 weeks because there are new people getting shot. The fact that you got to keep talking about Lincoln Riley shows this ain't happening to many people.
Well, they're fear-mongering, Tim, and that's really all they've got other than hate, and they're trying not to show the hatred. But they've got fear, and that seems to work. Kind of sad that it works so well, but oh well.
Is it because
I disagree that we shouldn't be able to give them due process. You could build a system with people with iPads getting court orders from the judges and pulling up teams to pull up all of their social media history to say, like, I don't know, he posted about being in the gang. You could hire with all this Doge money that we're saving, Tim.
Right.
We've got the technology. We've got Elon Musk. All their iPads be hooked up to Starlink.
Yeah, I can't.
Any of that.
I mean, when you're kicking people out for tattoos and shit like that, yeah, you gotta give them due process. I mean, because it does appear that they don't kicked out some innocent people, and I said that when they were doing it, that just like with executions, why should somebody be on death row when you can save taxpayers money? Anytime you do something quick, you increase the likelihood of making mistakes. The faster you do something, the more likely you're going to get it wrong. That's why people are on death row for 10, 15 years. And even then, they sometimes find out they were about to kill the wrong person, even after the person's been on death row that long. So when you start speeding up shit, like no due process, yeah, you're probably sending people that are completely innocent to prison.
Well, it was quite shocking when they told the judge that they don't have to give them any information about the flights. And they think they're above the law. They think that they're king. And it's really apparent when we've been screaming for the last 3 years saying, hey, he's going to be a dictator. Hey, he doesn't care about the rule of law. And you said we were fear-mongering. Everyone said we were fear-mongering. And it's no. We can just see past the rhetoric. And it's real sad people can't see past his very dumb rhetoric.
It's because he's doing things.
He repeats the same 20 words at every one of his speeches. It's amazing how dumb it is. There is no intellectual process that you can follow within his speeches other than, no, they're bad. Me good. Yeah, me good. Love me. Oh, I can't stand this because there's nothing happening in these speeches other than hate. What do you see, Tim? If you've listened to 10 of the last things Trump said, have you heard one truly smart, coherent thing he said other than me good, they bad?
Yeah, the whole biological boys shouldn't play for girls' teams. I think it's a mountain out of a molehill, but I think it's legit. Securing.
Would you say he said it with an educated mindset?
No, it's rooted in hate. It's rooted in hate to that community. But you can say some hateful shit that still makes sense. Same thing with securing the border. We should know who's coming in this country. You could have terrorists coming in. That absolutely makes sense. And I think he's doing a better job at that than Biden. Go ahead.
I was screaming the entire time that we should have passed that border bill, and we would have had more judges in there. We would have had more infrastructure to make it work. We could have had literally 1,500 more border agents set at the border to catch all these people or divert them when you put in the power to close the border completely. And
the problem is it took
have more infrastructure.
Yeah, but the problem is it took Biden to year 3 to come up with a border bill, and by the end, it's just too fucking late.
Trump was in full attack mode at that point.
And Biden made it rather easy to do that. Because you let this guy. Go ahead.
They have control of both houses. Pass that bill.
It ain't just about having control of both houses. It's the fact that Trump was holding rallies and talking to the people a lot more than Biden was. Even now, Trump is still throwing rallies and still talking to the people every day. And Biden was just going about the business of doing what he thought was best for the White House. People need to hear from you. Trump has changed the game to the point where a president that's just boring and in the White House is probably not going to be acceptable anymore. We need people to talk to us, even if they're not always saying the right shit.
The saddest thing, though, is that was my favorite thing about Biden, is that I didn't hear from him every goddamn minute. There wasn't constant breaking news.
Yeah. But that's also
if you want that, great. But man, that really hurts my soul that I have to be checking the news reports for the breaking news that I know is going to be there.
You can speak to the people without making breaking news every day. That's unique to Trump. Look at what
it's not good for my heart.
Look at what Bernie Sanders and AOC is doing right now. They're on the news every day with these rallies. They're not making breaking news for saying controversial shit. They're saying things that resonate with people. So it can be done.
Hard. You just don't be hateful and don't like oligarchies, but
Yeah.
Trump has said from the beginning when he sold a book saying love letters to dictators. He sold that book. You remember that, right? With publishing all of his letters to Kim Jong-un and
Yes, because he didn't want to. He didn't want for people to see those letters. Yeah.
It's got to have love, and it's amazingly sad for the most snowflake princess.
Let me get out of here before you get us both detained or something. But I appreciate it.
Check your TikTok. I'm seeing a comment saying that TikTok was down.
All right, will do. Thank you.
Sorry about that, Tim.
All right,
Good night.
All right, you too. All right, moving on with the program. I don't know what I just did there, but we'll go ahead and move on. You being a doctor does not mean you have any authority concerning anything outside of your area of practice. So why does it matter if you're okay? You guys are responding to each other in the comments. Well, Darren, okay, yeah, you guys are. Let me make sure I'm not missing any super chats here. Jasmine and AOC are the callers, leaders, CNN and MSNBC. Like I said, with AOC and Bernie said, now Jasmine Crockett, she's not, I don't know, AOC, well, the problem with Jasmine Crockett, I've said this before, the Democrats, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but, you know, you can criticize me if you will. I'm always one to invite criticism. And what I'm about to say is certainly probably going to get me criticized by some liberals. I don't think the Liberal Party, their next candidate needs to be a woman or a person of color. It needs to be a white dude. It really does. Right now, the country is racially as divided as ever. And fact is, there are more white people in America than any other group. And a lot of white people in America believe that replacement theory is in full swing. So this is sounding mushy as hell to say this, but to appease some people, you got to give them something they can recognize. I just don't think that a woman, a female, or a person of color right now will have a good chance of winning on the Democrat side unless they are really diplomatic. Really diplomatic. I don't know. I don't see it. I hate to say something crazy like that. You should be anybody, remember? No DEI. It should be based on merit and all of that shit. It ain't based on merit. People want white. I mean, I'm just, it's like, you know, it's like I'm trying to sell you black tar heroin. No, these people want white over here. They don't want none of that shit. They want white. So right now, at least for the foreseeable future, at least for the next election, if the Democrat Party is going to win, they need to put up a white man. Which is why as soft as people are trying to say he sounds and, you know, bringing up the tampons and shit like that, Tim Walz. I said Tim Walz looks a lot better than Kamala Harris or somebody. He would have to correct a few things. Maybe he does need to toughen his image. I don't know. Go out and shoot a few transgender beer cans with Kid Rock or some shit. I don't know. But he definitely is a white male. And I don't know how tough he needs. Now, that's a good one. Gen X says Andrew Cuomo. That's probably a better choice. Yeah, because he got some sexual assault accusations and MAGA loves that shit. They got Conor McGregor hanging around them. MAGA seems to love them sexual assault folks. What was the guy? Andrew Tate, flew back into the country at the behest of MAGA. So having a few, like, MAGA looks at you and like, you got any sexual assault accusations? You ain't one of them LGBT freaks, are you? Ain't no women accusing you of nothing? You like them boys? So for MAGA, you almost need to have some of that on your rap sheet. So Andrew Cuomo come in there real hard, like, fuck them bitches or something like that. I know MAGA might actually roll with Andrew Cuomo. So Gen X, you might be on to something with that. As humorous as it may sound. Why not bring in Clinton? Too old. Is that the way many cancer patients travel to the U.S.? I know who could win and is a Democrat, but I'm not telling you who it is. Then okay, don't bring it up. Colonizers were genociders and slavers. Learn the history, MAGA maggots. Who's denying that? Yeah, well, some of them might be, I guess. We need to remember Tate was fully cleared of those accusations as they were flat out. Wasn't he? He wasn't cleared in some of those other countries, was he? I don't think Andrew Tate, has he been 100% cleared? Gavin Newsom is the only one who has a chance to win, says MAGA Reacts. I don't know about that. I think what Gen X said in regards to Andrew. I think Andrew Cuomo could probably get more. No, I mean, look, listen. What is his name? Gavin Newsom is gonna get. Obviously, you're gonna get the liberal and progressive vote. So would Andrew Cuomo. But I think you need independence. You need some of them folks to be willing to jump ship. I think Andrew Cuomo could do that better than Gavin Newsom. Because Gavin is from Cuomo's from New York. Gavin is from California. Two progressive states, but California is way more progressive than New York. If you watch, it's particularly if you watch right-wing media, because California has a bunch of progressive places. You watch right-wing media, they're attacking the sanctuary city policies and things like that of New York City. But they're not going after Syracuse or Buffalo or Schenectady. If you look at California, they're going after San Fran, they're going after Sacramento, they're going after LA, they're going after the whole damn state. So yeah, New York, I don't think is as considered. Damn, I'm messing this one up. I'm having a Biden moment. I don't think the right views New York as progressive as California. And Cuomo's been out of the limelight for a little bit. So I think Andrew Cuomo would be a better choice. That's just my opinion, though. In terms of galvanizing more non-liberals. It don't matter between Cuomo or Newsom when it comes to the liberals. They're going to vote for either one of them pretty strongly. But you need something you need some independence. You might need a few traditional Republicans too. And I think that's where Cuomo would do better. Newsom is the only one who understands the middle right. He just needs to overcome his record. I don't think you could. I think they would ram that California record up his butt. I don't think he could. I think Cuomo comes across as a more tougher and all of that. I think Cuomo would be a better choice. Tim Walsh all day says, Sherbert. I like Tim Walsh, but I do lean left. I actually like him. I think he's, listen, you can tell what's wrong with a candidate when you run for president or VP, because everything bad about you comes up. Not much bad came out about Tim Walsh. Okay, he said that he served in war or something like that. And I mean, little minor shit came up. Let's say compared to some of the things that came up about Trump or Hillary Clinton, little minor stuff came up about Tim Walsh. Not a lot of scandals. He's been governor for a term or two. I actually kind of like Tim Walsh. How many Russians have been deported? How many Russians do we have in the country? I mean, we haven't been friendly to Russian immigration at all anyway, have we? Probably not a lot of Russians living here. I mean, do you have a lot of Russian neighborhoods in your city? I don't know about a lot. It probably ain't been many of them deported. Trump, baby, I can't run. Because can you even freely travel? I guess you can't just catch a flight out of well, I'm about to say the LA to Moscow, but I'm thinking about how far those two cities are apart. You'd have to probably hop, skip, and somewhere else. But can you fly straight from the U.S. to Russia? I don't think you can do that, can you? Straight out of any flight leaving America going straight to Russia to St. Petersburg somewhere. I don't even think they do that. My friend goes to Turkey to see her Russian mom. Turkey's different. Oh my God, America just surrendered. Trump will announce this week. What? Anyhow, it must be getting late. I do appreciate, I didn't ask folks to tap the screen at all tonight, and we still got up to 42,000. Okay. You guys favor this type of dialogue, go ahead and follow the program if you're on TikTok, Instagram, a subscription if you're on YouTube, horizontal or vertical. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. And I do appreciate you folks that have supported the program. You do. That does mean something. I'm trying to get another device because I think some of you folks are on. By the way, yes or no in the comments particularly for my MAGA audience. How many of you folks use Rumble? Because Rumble was a right-wing platform. Because I have capabilities to go live on Rumble. I'm thinking about doing that. Let me know if you use Rumble at all. People who care about criminals more than Americans are called Leave This Country and Live with the Criminals That Love So Much Just Leave. Well, Paul, the problem is there are people being deported as criminals that are not criminals. This is criticizing Trump's policies on deportation is very similar to criticizing Elon Musk on the firings. The right is saying that you're wrong for not being happy that Elon is finding waste, fraud, and abuse, or happy that Trump is getting rid of criminals. The problem is, in both cases, they've been caught saying that people are criminals or that things are waste, fraud, and abusive, and it's not true. In both cases, they're doing things that you just have to believe, and they have no proof of it. Elon is not proving all of the waste, fraud, and abuse that he's telling you about, and obviously Trump is certainly deporting people without showing you any proof that the person is actually a criminal. So it ain't that the people care more about the criminals than they do about Americans. They're speaking up because a lot of things that's coming out of the Trump administration are just patently false. They're not true. Bashan says if you cross the border illegally, you are a criminal. True, but there's a lot more to the story than that. I'll give you a little bit of the rundown. First of all, we were talking about deporting rapists and murderers. Then it went from rapists and murderers to you're in a gang. Then it went from you're in a gang to, well, you have gang tattoos. Then it went from you have gang, you did enter the country illegally. That ain't what you promised. You're lowering the bar all the way down to virtually, you promised to get rid of rapists and murderers. Now you step foot in the Rio Grande illegally. So now you count. You should be sent to El Salvador. That ain't what you promised. So that's why people are pushing back. Is he promised to do one thing and now anybody counts. And by the way, everybody that's getting deported is not even an illegal immigrant. The ones who came that were let in to file asylum. I get it that many of these folks were claiming asylum when they had no legitimate asylum case. But nevertheless, our laws allowed, under the Biden administration, our laws allowed you to go up to Border Patrol and request an asylum case. So that's coming legally. You didn't sneak across the Rio Grande. You didn't overstay your visa. You came 100% legally under Biden. Trump gets in office, and suddenly all of these asylum seekers that have court dates pending and stuff instantly become fugitives. And now you're calling them illegal immigrants. They were not illegal immigrants. Trump told us he was deporting rapists and murderers. Not, I'm going to make criminals out of everybody. That's why people are pushing back. People who did it the right way, you didn't like, talking about my MAGA audience, you did not like Biden's executive orders allowing people to come the right way, in his opinion. You don't want people to be able to request asylum at all. You want to force them to request asylum in another country before they get to America. You're not president, Biden is. Biden's law is legal. You can request asylum if you get to the border. So they don't came legally. They're going through the process, and then suddenly Trump gets in there and boom, you're a fugitive now. So it's the way he did it why people are bitching about it. And it ain't just the asylum seekers, green card holders. I mean, there's a lot of people that were here 100% legally, and suddenly Trump did something where they became a fugitive and had to go. We started out with rapists and murderers, and we're all the way down to people at that level. So people are going to naturally say something because that's not what he ran on. Whoever the next Democrat president is will be the next FDR of our time after Trump trashes the country beyond recognition. Yeah, if he gets rid of all the social programs, you're going to definitely have to have a repeat of FDR type policies. I think too, because the Republicans you hear from the right all the time how the Democrats let everybody in here because they think they're going to turn into votes for the Democratic Party. I think there's some validity to that. I don't buy the notion that a bunch of illegal immigrants voted in states that don't require an ID. I don't believe that happened. I haven't seen any proof that happened. But I do believe that if the average Hispanic immigrant gets the right to stay in America and is allowed to vote, they're more likely to vote Democrat than Republican. And I think that under Trump's policies, that's probably increased. The odds of that happening have increased significantly because there were Hispanic groups that supported Trump, Venezuelans, Cubanos, people who escaped, communism, fascism, or socialism rather, and they were scared the Democrat Party was a bunch of socialists, so they were voting for Trump. Well, the fact is those groups have also been mistreated by Trump. You see people on social media, they got pictures. One lady is all over social media how she's at a rally talking about how much she loves Trump, and he's standing behind her, kind of patting her on the shoulder as she cheers on Trump. And then there's another video of her after the election crying that he told us he was only going to go after the illegal immigrants, only going to go after the criminals. And now she's finding out a lot of her Venezuelan friends and shit are getting kicked out that were here legally. So I do believe that Trump probably has set the Republicans back in terms of the Hispanic vote for at least a decade. I do believe that come the midterms, 2026, federal, the national election in 2028, the Hispanic vote probably going to be down there with the black vote. It ain't going to be nowhere near what it was last time. Trump actually won the Hispanic male vote. He got more Hispanic males to vote for him than Kamala did. And he got like 30 some odd percent of the Hispanic females. That ain't going to happen this time. He's not running again, but he's going to be promoting a candidate. He's going to be involved in candidates in the midterms. His candidates ain't gonna do as well. I just don't see it. I'm pretty sure the Hispanic community, because it's all over their networks, Univision and Telemundo. It's all. They're not gonna support him like that. I don't see it happening. You not the sharpest drawer. You are not the sharpest knife in the drawer, says Joe. No, I'm not. And I would love to hear you give a point. And I concede it if you're making sense. But if you believe that the Hispanic vote for Trump hasn't been altered by what's going on, you tell me what's sharper than what I'm saying, because there's no way in hell you're going to convince me that Trump has not hurt his chances or his party's chances with Hispanics. I'm pretty sure that the Hispanic support for Trump has dropped significantly. Fortunately for him, he doesn't have to run again. Trump got 76,245,000,000 potential votes. Yeah, a lot of people didn't vote. Yes, he fooled us all, but again, trans-loving Dems were simply the worst. So you're saying that trans-loving Dems are simply, so if the Dems are trans-loving, what is the right? Trans-hating? That's what I'm hearing. You really are going to try to use the fact that the Democrats love the transgender community as some kind of a flex, as if the Dems are doing something wrong. You're kind of by sideways admitting that the Republicans hate the trans. You're a trans lover. Then what are you? You pretty much just admitted that. Jeez. Wow, you criticizing them for loving the trans, huh? Yeah, just come out and say you hate them then. Land of the free, Trump is going to fuck around and find out. Trump's going to be okay. Trump's going to be okay. He doesn't have to run again. He's going to ride off into the sunset, a very wealthy man. He's never going to do a day behind bars or anything. Trump's going to be okay. The Republican Party is probably a different story. That's where it's going to probably be a different story. He's probably hurting the Republican Party. Due process, 35 trillion on criminals. Don't say one more thing about eggs. Yeah, they don't get. Yeah, all of a sudden Trump got in there and started doing this stuff, and suddenly the suffering of the economy turned into being irrelevant. The right doesn't seem to have any issue with the economy. They're okay with that. Certainly, people's 401ks are taking a big hit because the stock market is down across the board, and the right is like, okay, but he's getting rid of immigrants. He's keeping them trans people at bay. So the economy wasn't that big of an issue. Dems won't win the next election too far left. Here's the problem, though, Rick Legend, when you say the Democrats won't win the election because they're too far left. You're not taking into account that Trump is starting to go too far to the right. Bibles in schools, things like that. He's going pretty damn far to the right. Shut down the border, pissing off all of our friends, making it hard to travel. You're ignoring all of that. You can see the far left of the Democrats, but you're not seeing the far left of Trump. The far right of Trump. Trump is going pretty far to the right. Trans loving is the same thing as saying the N-word. Damn. You said trans loving is the same as saying an N-word lover back in the day. I don't know if it's that bad, Will G, because there's a lot more N-words out there than trans. I don't know. I don't think people are gonna want to really harm you for loving trans. There are people that died for loving N-words. I mean, if you let's say, for instance, you was a white woman, you fell in love with a black guy, you could get it. I mean, if you see Mississippi burning, that's the reason those two white civil rights protesters got killed. They were considered N-lovers. I don't know. Loving trans is not as bad as historically loving a black man. That was worse. That was significantly worse. But I do get your point. I'm personally tired. I've been paying taxes for 32 years, and it's about time my tax dollars stay home. You really think that's going to happen, Mr. Bullboy? You really think that under Trump and the savings of Doge and all this shit, you're going to somehow walk around not paying any taxes? I doubt if you see a 10% tax cut that lasts any significant period of time. The point is, the money that Elon Musk is bragging about saving is essentially a drop in a bucket for our national budget. Not to mention, we're now about to purchase a whole bunch of F-47s. Where do you think the money that's saving is going to go? Right into them damn F-47 aircraft. The F-35 is still being made. The big shit where the money really is being absorbed, all that stuff is still going. We're still building aircraft carriers and all that shit. And now we're talking about taking Greenland, Canada, Panama, Gaza. How much money is all that going to cost? You think firing a few, park rangers is going to make up all that shit? You're not going to see any tax cut. It ain't going to happen. You're going to still continue paying taxes. That is not, he isn't securing any large savings like that. In fact, like I said, when you're talking about potentially getting into military conflicts, it's possible he may end up spending more money, laying off a few people and pissing them off. But that F-47 project with those jets, how much money do you save by laying off federal workers compared to one of those things? Just one of those aircraft costs tens of millions of dollars. Just one of them. So yeah, you're not going to see a whole bunch of money saved by what they're doing when they just admitted they're about to spend a bunch of it. But here's a good one coming from Lovely. Lovely says, not another ignorant black man. Please tell me you're not Democrat. Who wants Tom, what did that say? Who wants to murder babies? Okay, so she said, please tell me you're not a Democrat who wants to murder babies and change men to mutilated men. So in other words, you said, please tell me you're not. So you don't even know my politics, and you started the conversation off with please, not another ignorant black man. So you didn't even need to know anything. You just looked at the screen, saw a black guy, and assumed ignorance. Huh? Okay. All right, you know more than I do. The debt clock didn't move. No, it ain't gonna move either. Not what they're doing. As incompetent Trumpy is good thing he won. No trans in women's sports, no woke agenda in schools. That's what I voted for a better economy too. But that's failing. Oh well, damn. Listen to this, and this is funny. Coming from Behave Intolerant. Says, as incompetent Trumpy is, it's a good thing he won. No trans in women's sports, no woke agenda in schools. That's what I voted for. And for a better economy too, but that's failing. Oh well. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening too. That's you getting your wish, because the economy's not being done, but he's getting the trans out of women's sports. The 6 or 7 athletes that were doing that in a country of 350 million people, he's gotten rid of the 6 or 7 transgender athletes that were playing with, as if that's making a difference in anybody's fucking life. He has gotten rid of that, and he's gotten rid of whatever the woke agenda is. Yikes. To me, it just sounds like I like Trump because he stuck it to the people that I don't like. He didn't put any money in my pocket or save me any taxes, but the people I have an issue with, he stuck it to them. Stuck it to the libs, and that's good enough for me. All right, folks. Anyway, I do appreciate 45,000 on the likes. You know how the program is ran. Appreciate you tuning in this evening. Certainly feel free to subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow if you're on, we're on TikTok and Instagram tonight, but you can find us on Clapper most nights, and we're going to try to do Rumble if I find out that many of my beloved MAGA, as I always say, my MAGA audience has Rumble. You know how we do the program. We don't block, ban, or censor. We're free speech. Until tomorrow, you guys have a good night. And looking, make sure I didn't miss anything here. That's why the liberals had me watching cat and dogs trying to get me used to sin transgender. I don't, something, I talk all this liberal shit on the program every night. I don't know anybody that's transgender. I don't know anybody. I don't know why the right is so focused on this. I don't think most people on the right know anybody that's transgender. And I'm talking about just know a person that's transgender, much less somebody that's playing for a sports team. You really don't know nobody doing that. I really think it's just a big fuss over a boogeyman. LOL, you remember the right being all about the debt clock. MAGA ain't shit. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. And no, they don't seem to care about it now that it's on them. No. But yeah, the folks on the right that's constantly talking about trans, I don't know anybody that's trans. And I think most of my viewers, there may be one or two of you out there that has seen somebody trans or nobody. Most of y'all don't know nobody's trans. Not to the point where you acting like this, where it's got to be stopped and all this shit. I catch you guys tomorrow as always. Y'all stay easy. See you on the other side.